Chapter 141 Extermination. You are all courting death. Xiao Yumei gritted her teeth and shouted coldly. She had to be by Qin Yun's side or she would have ran out and attacked him. Ha ha ha, are we looking to die? How is this possible? We are here to have fun. Little beauty, quickly let us be happy. A tall and big young man with an evil smile came to Xiao Yumei's side. Wu Yuchen's group were all at the 6th level of the martial body realm, and were seniors of the Sky Profound Martial House. Naturally, they thought that if the 8 of them teamed up, they would definitely be able to take down Xiao Yumei. Even if Qin Yun was not injured, they were not afraid. In this wilderness, they could do whatever they wanted as long as they didn't say anything. Moreover, they could obtain a storage spiritual tool and a very high-level demon beast corpse. Furthermore, they had been drooling over Xiao Yumei for a long time. This was a great opportunity. Xiao Yumei was so angry that her entire body trembled. She shouted and controlled a long sword to fly out, cutting off the tall youth that was more than 10 meters away. Crash! A large amount of blood spurted out and splattered onto the ground. Wu Yuchen and the others couldn't laugh anymore. The person they were laughing with earlier was actually cut in half by Xiao Yumei's sword. Xiao Yumei controlled her long sword and a few short swords, flying towards Wu Yuchen. Wu Yuchen and the others weren't ordinary people either. They all took out their weapons to defend themselves. Xiao Yumei's weapon was not a spirit treasure, and now that she was being fiercely slashed by 7 people, there were many wounds, and a few short swords were still on the ground. Yumei, when you see something appear, you'll have to adjust with the situation. Qin Yun suddenly whispered, "Don't worry about me. Just move faster." Wu Yuchen and the others rushed over, but they suddenly saw a flash of silver. It turned out to be a 4 to 5 meter long lion. Yes, it's a puppet beast. What Qin Yun released must have been refined by him. A red-clothed man exclaimed. Just as he was about to unleash his inner strength attack, the puppet, Silver Lion, spat out a bolt of lightning. The red-clothed man didn't even have the time to attack before his upper body was struck by that bolt of lightning. Wu Yuchen and the others turned pale with fright. Puppets were mysterious and terrifying existences in the eyes of many. Hurry up, or we'll all die. After Wu Yuchen said that, he saw Xiao Yumei floating towards him with a long sword in her hand. She waved the swords in her hand a few times and a few of them actually appeared. Then, a few of the swords split into several, and dozens of them suddenly appeared and flew out. It's a lower-grade profound rank doppelganger illusionary sword technique. Wu Yuchen shouted in shock, "Use your spiritual energy to sense, a sword without aura is a fake, there's no need to harm it." Before he finished speaking, he sensed that the swords that were flying over were all real. What was worse was that the Silver Lion puppet also flew over, ripping a man apart in one fell swoop. Humph, even if the essence of the doppelganger illusionary sword technique is to use a spirit sword, this is a spirit attack. After Xiao Yumei finished her sentence, all the illusory swords struck Wu Yuchen and the 5 others. After being struck by the spirit sword force, their minds were in a trance, and their heads were heavy. The Silver Lion puppet took advantage of the situation and charged forward. Its sharp, dagger-like claws ferociously slammed down, leaving behind a few deep, bloody wounds on a person's body. In an instant, it had killed a student. Wu Yuchen was scared out of his wits. He wanted to run, but when he was attacked by the illusory sword technique, he could only stagger along like he was drunk. Ah! Another student was killed by the puppet, Silver Lion. Xiao Yumei laughed coldly. "You all wanted to do something bad to me, now do you regret it?" "Don't kill me, don't kill me," a student kneeled on the ground and begged for mercy with a soft voice. "I was wrong, forgive me." "Humph, if I didn't have enough strength, would you have let me go?" "No way," Xiao Yumei said angrily, controlling her long sword to fly over and stab the student to death. Xiao Yumei teamed up with Silver Lion puppet and quickly killed off 7 students. Right now, there was only Wu Yuchen left. Wu Yuchen sat on the ground and cried. He looked at the broken corpses on the ground and was incomparably terrified. He was very clear that Xiao Yumei would definitely not let him go. He was trembling with the fear of death. "Both of you are in your 20s. As for Qin Yun and I, we are only 14 or 15 years old. There are 8 of you surrounding and attacking us, and you want to do something despicable to me. Xiao Yu Mei's long sword was placed against Wu Yuchen's neck. "Aunt, let me go." Wu Yuchen cried out in grief. He had just suffered a mental attack and still hadn't recovered from it. In the next life, Xiao Yu Mei was merciless. She circulated her qi and waved her sword. "Walk well." Wu Yuchen lay on the ground, his eyes still open. Fear was written all over his frozen face. The 8 students of the Tianquan martial arts school possessed excellent mental strength. However, they had all been killed. If the academy were to know of this matter, they would definitely execute Xiao Yu Mei and Qin Yun without a care in the world. "These bastards, can't you live on properly? Why must you come here to seek death?" Xiao Yu Mei said while wiping the sword in her hand. Qin Yun, who was lying beside a broken tree, smiled. However, he was also somewhat worried. The deaths of these 8 students are no trivial matter. If Tianquan Martial Arts Academy were to find out, the consequences would be disastrous. "As long as we keep it a secret. Take out your furnace, and I will burn them." Xiao Yu Mei was not worried at all. She was only 14 years old, but she was extremely efficient when it came to doing such things. Very quickly, she handled the scene beautifully without leaving a single trace of blood. "Wait until the lion's wounds are healed, then let it wash this place over with its flames. Its flames must be very strong." Xiao Yu Mei laughed. "Brother, don't worry." Qin Yun nodded slightly and began healing his injuries. Xiao Yu Mei was riding a puppet, and she was making a ruckus. She even wanted one of them. It was midnight. Qin Yun lay on the ground as he looked up at the stars in the sky. He realized that there were even more bright stars in the depths of the Cloud Dragon Mountain range. He released his spiritual soul to absorb the star power in the sky to cultivate his psychic power. Xiao Yu Mei sat beside Qin Yun and looked at his left arm. She asked softly, "Brother, do you feel that your arm is better?" Qin Yun smiled and said, "Very good. I can move about. Let me touch it." "Your arm was eaten by a lion and then vomited out." Xiao Yu Mei snorted. "I don't know if there are any problems." The golden fire lion lay on the side. After hearing Xiao Yu Mei's voice, it opened its fiery eyes and said, "There's no problem, I even refined it. It's mainly because of the heavenly lion totem on his arm that I can use my own heavenly lion's blood essence to temper it." Quote. In other words, this arm of his possesses the bloodline of the heavenly lions. However, it is only this arm. It will not flow throughout his entire body. Chapter 142 Totem Inheritance. Chapter 142 Totem Inheritance. Qin Yun was overjoyed to see the golden fire lion awaken. He immediately asked, "Great lion, then can my own blood flow into my left arm?" The golden fire lion's large eyes blinked, and said, "Of course you can. Once your blood enters your left arm, it will be turned into the heavenly lion's blood by the heavenly lion totem above. All in all, this arm can give you a lot of power. You yourself need to comprehend the power of the heavenly lion totem stone." When Qin Yun was refining the silver lion puppet, he realized that the celestial lion totem was an extremely terrifying set of mystic patterns. The golden fire lion continued, "I am a descendant of the ancient heavenly lion tribe. I possess a certain level of the heavenly lion's bloodline, so I can help you activate the heavenly lion totem. Totem is the inheritance of the clan's memories. They are incomparably deep and profound, covering everything in their path. They are enough for you to study them for your entire life." Xiao Yu Mei exclaimed, "So powerful. Brother, how did you get it?" Quote. "I've been soaking in the heavenly lion lake for 10 days and then the totem was on my arm. I'm not sure why it would appear." Qin Yun was also extremely curious. He looked at the giant golden lion and asked, "Great lion, do you know?" The golden fire lion said, "You might have been soaked in lion's blood. Our heavenly lion bloodline has always nurtured such a heritage. For a heavenly lion totem to appear on your body, it means that you have gained the acknowledgement of the heavenly lion bloodline." Qin Yun secretly felt for his left arm. Indeed, he could sense a strong ancient power concealed within. Xiao Yu Mei was extremely mischievous. Climbing onto the body of the golden fire gigantic lion, she laughed. "Lion, you also have a martial spirit, right? What martial spirit was it? Can you tell me?" Quote. "Golden Sun martial spirit," the Goldfire lion said. Qin Yun and Xiao Yu Mei were immediately alarmed. A young martial spirit was a martial spirit bestowed by the heavens. Xiao Yumei was in disbelief, and asked, "Is that true? Your martial spirit is so strong, and it's even the bane of ghosts, but you were actually beaten so badly by the Spirit King." Quote. The Golden Fire Lion was a bit vexed as it said, "I was at the critical point of my breakthrough and was disturbed by the Ghost King, causing me to be injured. That's why he took advantage of me. Then, he controlled my body and entered the depths of the Cloud Dragon River to wear out the power in my body." Quote. Xiao Yumei jumped down from the lion's back, took out her mirror and placed it on the Golden Fire Lion's fluffy belly. "Great Lion, relax your entire body. Allow my martial spirit's power into your body, to feel your martial spirit. Don't worry, it'll be fine, just consider it a small favor. As long as there's no harm, it's fine. It's you who saved me. Just a small favor." The Golden Fire Lion laughed. Qin Yun was secretly surprised. He knew that Xiao Yumei wanted to use her mystical mirror martial spirit to imprint the Gold Sun martial spirit into her mirror. Sure enough, the mirror in Xiao Yumei's hand suddenly glowed with a golden light, and after a moment, it disappeared. "Haha, if I succeed, I'll have a martial spirit bestowed by the heavens." Xiao Yumei laughed happily. "When my spiritual force cultivation is more or less done, I will switch to the Gold Sun martial spirit." Qin Yun had two martial spirits, and they were both of high rank, but he was also very jealous of Xiao Yumei's mirror martial spirit. "Great Lion, what is your background? You are very strong and know how to speak." Xiao Yumei climbed onto the lion's back and asked, "And that Spirit King, how did you get targeted by it?" Quote. The Golden Fire Lion said, "The Ghost King escaped from the land of buried immortals. I'm mainly responsible for inspecting the land of buried immortals and specifically killing the evil spirits that escaped. The Spirit King had actually come from the immortal burying grounds. In other words, the evil spirits of the ghost beasts also came from that place." Qin Yun and Xiao Yumei looked at each other with looks of shock. Xiao Yumei asked anxiously, "Then do you know where the immortal burying ground is? Can you take us? Isn't that place filled with treasures?" Quote. The Golden Fire Lion laughed and said, "You have to cross the Cloud Dragon River. That is the immortal burial grounds. There are a lot of treasures inside, but you can only take them by risking your life. After the Cloud Dragon River, there is still the Cloud Dragon Mountain Range." "How is this the immortal burying ground?" "The entire Cloud Dragon Mountain Range is an immortal burying ground." Qin Yun could not help but ask. The Golden Fire Lion said, "More or less. I don't know where the immortal graveyard is. In short, a lot of monsters and ghosts will accompany the funeral grounds. Right now, some will be revived and some will turn into evil spirits, so that place is extremely dangerous." Quote. Qin Yun had a portion of the immortal graveyard diagram. If he gathered all of the immortal graveyard diagram in the future, he might be able to find out where the immortal graveyard was buried. He needed to be very strong in order to make it. Otherwise, he would not be able to make it back. The Golden Fire Lion stood up and said, "I'm going back. In the future, all of you must not approach the Cloud Dragon River in this area. It's very dangerous." Xiao Yumei leapt gently from the lion's back to Qin Yun's side. She said, "Great Lion, goodbye. I will miss you. The next time we meet, I will be even stronger than you." Quote. The Golden Lion let out a long laugh, spewed out flames, burning the surroundings to clear the traces. It then started to run, disappearing into the darkness in an instant. "These are their storage bags. They've killed over 20 ghost beasts in total." Xiao Yumei laughed, "They are all ours now. Brother, you have to refine more evil suppression talismans to protect yourself. If you encounter a strong ghost beast, the evil suppression talisman will be very useful." Xiao Yumei thought that the evil suppression talisman was useless, but after seeing it with her own eyes, she was even more awed by the power of the spirit emblem. Qin Yun clenched his left fist and felt the heavenly lion's power inside. He thought to himself, "If I were to use this arm to wield the giant Spirit King hammer, the power of the hammer would definitely be extremely great. It would be of great help to my artifact forging. Let's leave this place first," Qin Yun said as he carried Xiao Yu and took a fire cloud step. He left through the air to avoid leaving footprints. Xiao Yumei was now even more intimate with Qin Yun. She stuck close to him like a little sister. They were far away from the Cloud Dragon River and had arrived at a mountainous forest area filled with dangerous mountains. The mountain peaks of this region were all several thousand meters tall and shrouded in mist and mist. Qin Yun and Xiao Yumei found a cave in a mountain that was as straight as a giant pillar. They went in to rest. The entrance to the cave was located in the middle of the huge mountain, over 2,000 meters above the ground. It was also very safe. Even the spirit beasts and evil beasts could not easily reach it. I'm going to refine a few evil suppression talismans. You can go play by yourself. After entering the cave, Qin Yun took out the furnace. Xiao Yumei pouted and said, "You make me sound like a little kid. I also want to help you craft your talismans." Quote, "Alright, then you help me cut out my beast skin." Qin Yun said, "Then, combine your mental energy with inner force and pour it into the hide." Xiao Yumei nodded and began to help him very seriously. Qin Yun used the beast skin he had previously cut to carve the phantom charm. "Yumei, you still don't have a spiritual weapon, right? I'll help you forge one." Qin Yun suddenly recalled that in battle, Xiao Yumei had used a semi-spiritual weapons sword with many cracks on it. Alright. The best method would be to refine a spirit artifact. Xiao Yumei had wanted it long ago, but she was too embarrassed to ask. She knew that refining a spirit treasure was not easy, and it took too much time. Chapter 143 Spirit Treasures. Qin Yun and company had killed the gigantic turtles and obtained many soul essences. This was the most important ingredient in refining a spirit artifact. Xiao Yumei said, "As long as you help me refine a spirit essence treasure sword, the rest of the soul essence will all be yours." How about it? Even if she didn't know how to forge artifacts, it would still be useless. If she could exchange for a sword, then that would be a very good deal. All right, Qin Yun nodded his head. He too wanted to try refining this sort of spiritual essence treasure. When Xiao Yumei saw Qin Yun agree, she jumped in joy and shouted, "I'm finally going to have a spirit artifact. Moreover, this is a special spirit artifact. I have a spirit artifact. Brother, when can you refine it and give it to me? Can you do it in 2 years?" Quote, 2 years. Qin Yun could not help but laugh. Then, within 3 years, it should be fine, right? I just want to be able to possess a spirit artifact at the age of 16. Xiao Yumei said in a soft voice. Qin Yun said with a smile, "Don't you have a storage spirit artifact now?" Xiao Yumei looked at the bracelet, stuck out her tongue, and laughed. "I'm saying, an offensive spiritual item. Can you help me refine it within 3 years? Qin Yun pinched her little face and said with a smile, 3 years. You're underestimating me too much. I'll help you refine it within a month at the most. The last time he forged the giant spirit king hammer, something so difficult, he did not even need a month. Hearing that, Xiao Yumei's face was filled with disbelief, and she muttered, 1 month. How is that possible? Isn't refining spirit artifacts going to take a long time? Quote, wait until I finish refining the 100 evil suppression talismans, then I'll help you refine a spirit essence treasure. What do you want, the sword, or the blade? Qin Yun asked. He could continue to use the ghost suppressing talisman formation to kill the ghost king, so he didn't need to refine this kind of talisman formation anymore. He only needed to use the ghost suppressing talisman to deal with normal little monsters. I want the sword. Was refining a spiritual tool so simple? Elder sister and many seniors have said that it takes a long time to carve a good spiritual tool into shape. Xiao Yumei frowned and said, what do you think of my hammer? Qin Yun took out the giant spirit king hammer and handed it to her. Xiao Yumei took it and poured some of her inner qi into it. She felt a flow like she had never felt before, as if her inner qi was drained after entering the hammer. Very good. Xiao Yumei could also distinguish the quality of the spirit artifact. Furthermore, she had heard rumors of Qin Yun's giant spirit king hammer. Qin Yun said with a smile, I made it up by myself when I was imprisoned in the Heaven Punisher Tower. They said that spirit artifacts would take a lot of time to be forged, and if they aren't lying to you, then they're people who don't understand anything about artifact forging. Don't believe their lies. Quote, in reality, a truly good spirit artifact required a very long time to forge. However, Qin Yun had performed very well in every aspect when forging artifacts. Therefore, he was able to forge a good spirit artifact in an extremely short period of time. Xiao Yumei was extremely excited as she busied herself with cutting Qin Yun's beast skin, telling him to hurry up and finish making the evil suppression talisman. In just 2 days, Qin Yun had completed 100 ghost suppression talismans and began helping Xiao Yumei forge a spiritual essence treasure. He first dissolved a soul essence and then looked to see how much energy was needed to fuse it evenly with the bone steel. In terms of materials, he was extremely experienced, so he was able to quickly see through it. I need quite a few soul essences. Refining a sword requires around 20 soul essences. He wanted to forge a knife for himself as well. After some thought, he decided to forge the swords and sabers together. He threw both the bone steel and soul essence into the furnace. After burning them to a certain degree, he would then take them out and fuse them together, letting the low-grade bone steel and soul essence perfectly merge together. To use his left hand to thump on it, his strength is indeed great. Qin Yun tested the hammer with his left hand and was pleasantly surprised. He purposefully switched between his left and right hands. He could clearly feel that the strength of his left hand was more than twice that of his right. Xiao Yumei continued cutting and processing the beast skin. Qin Yun only needed to use it to inscribe spirit patterns. It had only been 10 days, but a rough outline of a blade and a sword had already appeared on the forging platform. As the materials were limited, Qin Yun did not forge a saber for himself that much. The rough embryo is done very well. The soul essence can perfectly fuse with the low-grade bone steel. Qin Yun probed his psyche into the 2 rough embryos and felt it was very smooth. Xiao Yumei tried it out, but she was also full of joy and anticipation. Qin Yun spent another 2 days to refine and forge a sharp sword that shimmered with cold light. The hilt of the sword was carved with Xiao Yumei's favorite rose pattern. After that, he started inscribing spirit patterns. Qin Yun took out a carving knife and began inscribing on the sword. "Big brother, what spirit tattoos did you carve?" Xiao Yumei saw that her first spirit treasure was slowly taking shape and became even more excited, wanting to learn more. Qin Yun explained, "Will imprint and solid imprint. The mind prints can strengthen and store up spirit power, while the solid tattoos can strengthen the sword's body. Because the sword is rather slender, in order to be even more sturdy, one must carve solid tattoos." He could only inscribe 2 types of spirit inscriptions at the moment. If he were to carve 3 types of spirit inscriptions, it would be a mid-tier spirit weapon. It wasn't difficult for him to inscribe spirit tattoos, which meant that he would need a long time to do so. It took him a full 2 days to carve the mind and solid carvings on both sides of the sword. And then, he started carving the blood pact on the sword hilt. Although this was the 3rd type, due to the special nature of the blood pact, it wasn't possible to make a spirit treasure into a medial-grade spirit treasure. In the end, the blood traces were carved. Only by dripping blood would they be able to use the spirit patterns within. Otherwise, what they would receive would only be an ordinary sword. Qin Yun finally finished refining the sword and passed it to Xiao Yu. "Although it's a spiritual essence treasure, it's very easy for you to infuse your inner force into it." Xiao Yumei's small face was filled with excitement, using her watery eyes to carefully look at her treasured spirit sword. After she received it, she hurriedly said, "Let's call it the Spirit Moon Sword." This seemed to be something that she had already thought of long ago. Qin Yun smiled and began inscribing lines on his knife. The knife was only about half a meter long. It could be considered rather short. Since he had used his psychic power to control it, it didn't need to be large. It was smaller and easier to control. Xiao Yumei stood at the entrance of the cave and controlled her Moon Soul sword to fly out a few hundred meters, slashing at the trees on the mountain opposite her as if she was cutting grass. Then she called the sword back, grabbed it by the hilt, and let it fly, carrying her back and forth. "Oh, I can fly too." Xiao Yumei giggled, playing extremely happily. She only played for 2 days before being able to fly around on the Moon Soul sword. Qin Yun could not help but marvel at Xiao Yumei's mental strength. It was actually this powerful. This was also due to the spirit treasures that allowed one to make one's spirit power stronger. In addition to the high-level divine manipulation, it could allow Xiao Yumei to fly very quickly. Otherwise, she would need at least the 9th level of the martial body. Qin Yun had finished forging his own knife. When he arrived at the cave, he saw Xiao Yumei rushing towards him with a panicked expression. From afar, she shouted, "Brother, another group of ghost beasts is coming. This time they can fly, and they are heading towards you." Chapter 144. Qin Yun immediately wondered why the horde of ghouls would charge at him. All the ghost beasts they encountered near the Cloud Dragon River were commanded by the Ghost King, but now, the Ghost King was dead. Are there a lot of spirit kings here? But why me? Qin Yun stood in front of the cave entrance and looked forward. The cave he was in the middle of a dangerous mountain that was 5,000 meters tall, and only flying ghost beasts could reach it. It seemed that they had specially sent flying ghost beasts to deal with him. When Xiao Yumei landed in the cave, she was very anxious. When I was flying outside, I used the mirror to feel the large number of souls quickly moving towards you. After that, I saw a group of black birds flying over. It should be the ghost beasts. Qin Yun stood at the entrance of the cave as he looked into the distance. Indeed, he saw a group of black birds in the distance. If you looked closely, you would see a flock of crows. This group of ravens should be flying from the Cloud Dragon River. Could it be that they are here to seek revenge for the Spirit King? Xiao Yumei stood behind Qin Yun. Should we fight this time? Let's take a look first. We have the evil suppression ghost talisman and a treasure spirit weapon, so we don't need to be afraid of these ghost beasts. Qin Yun was carefully observing the flying crows. These crows were all very big, and their wings were about 3 to 4 meters long. Their eyes were blood red, and they all had violent spiritual energy undulations on their bodies. One look was all it took to tell that they were ghost beasts. Brother, how did they sense your existence from such a distance? Xiao Yumei was confused. You don't seem to be able to feel it anywhere. Do you have something that can attract these ghost beasts? Quote. Qin Yun suddenly thought of his 9-yang divine spirit. This was the strangest thing he had. The Grand Preceptor had given it to him, and the Grand Preceptor had the immortal burying diagram. He felt that the 9 Suns spirit might have something to do with the immortal graveyard. Furthermore, the ghost beasts were all evil spirits that came from the immortal graveyard. These crows are all at the 6th stage of cultivation. I'll go first. I'll use the evil suppression talismans to restrain them, then you can go and kill them. Qin Yun stepped on the flaming cloud steps and quickly ran through the air before taking out many evil suppression talismans. He first activated a ghost suppression talisman and released the ghost suppression talisman to wrap his body with. This way, the crows would not dare to approach him. The crow was very strange and did not cry out. When it saw Qin Yun approaching, it shook its wings and emitted a black mist. In just a split second, the black air released by these 100+ giant crows turned into a large amount of black fog that covered the sky. Poison! Qin Yun shouted in alarm as he hurriedly threw out a stormwind talisman. He released waves of raging winds that blew away the black poison gas. Even the raven was blown backwards. At the same time, he shot out over 20 talismans, which exploded in the midst of the messy flock of crows. The talisman's power, accompanied by a fierce wind, enveloped the crows. The crows were hit by the evil suppression talismans, and they all fell to the ground. Yumei, these crows can release poisonous gas, you have to be careful. Qin Yun shouted as he swooped down. He took out his soul saber and controlled it to fly downwards to hack the crow's head. Xiao Yumei quickly flew with her sword. When she was 100 meters away from the ground, she jumped down from the sky, controlled the moon soul sword, and flew towards the falling crows like a ray of light. Shua shua shua, Xiao Yumei's moon soul sword was extremely sharp and skilled. When it pierced through, it penetrated multiple crows' bodies, and then it weaved through them again and again. In just a few moments, she had killed more than half of them. She was much more proficient in controlling a spirit weapon than Qin Yun with the divine imperial technique. Furthermore, she was able to use the flying sword to unleash the waves of the spirit concentrating killing technique to attack a ghost beast. Qin Yun was astonished. He felt that Xiao Yumei was the nemesis of ghosts and beasts. This little girl, it seems that she has cultivated the divine imperial technique to the small success stage. And I've only just started. Quote. Once that divine imperial technique was established, one could control the flying of weapons and attack as one pleased. However, This was only within a range of a few dozen meters. If one was able to reach the small success realm, he could control the weapons from a distance of a few hundred meters. Furthermore, the weapons they controlled were faster and stronger. Before the crows landed on the ground, they had been killed by Xiao Yumei and Qin Yun. "Let me handle the poison." Qin Yun took out a large storage bag and walked over. This was something that he had casually refined when he was refining a spirit artifact. He had used a relatively large amount of void spirit stones to refine, so the space inside was very large. It was enough to hold around 300 to 400 elephants. Now, they had a total of 240 ghost corpses. Qin Yun took the large bag over. Suddenly, a mass of black gas emitted from the crows' bodies. However, it was not a poisonous gas. Instead, it was a wisp of evil spirits' will. "Human, you'd better quickly hand over the 9-yang divine soul to me. Otherwise, you'll be killed by the person who possesses the 9-yin divine soul." When Qin Yun heard the voice in his head, he could not help but be alarmed. This confirmed his earlier guess. Indeed, these ghost beasts were charging at him. After he recovered from his shock, he took out the evil suppression talisman and threw it at the evil spirit, tearing it into pieces. 9-yin spirit, what was that? It seems like the 9-yang spirit is really related to the land of buried immortals. Qin Yun thought to himself. He hurriedly put all of the crow corpses into the bag, and then threw a few evil suppression talismans into the bag, completely wiping out the crow's evil spirit. "Let's hurry back to the valley. The Cloud Dragon mountain range is getting more and more dangerous." Qin Yun was worried that there would be more powerful demonic beasts coming to find him. This was because it was related to his 9-yang divine spirit. If a really strong ghost beast really did come, then he would be in danger if he couldn't defeat it. Xiao Yumei was also worried that she would run into a monster like the Ghost Beast King. They had hunted enough ghost beasts, because Du Gui had previously said that having more than 100 beasts was already considered pretty good. Qin Yun and Xiao Yumei ran on the ground with heavy thoughts in their minds. He suspected that it was because they were too close to the Cloud Dragon River that they sensed something and sent a flock of crows to chase them. Xiao Yumei followed behind, and suddenly said, "Big brother, there will be more and more ghost beasts in the Cloud Dragon mountain range, they probably don't know the reason yet." Qin Yun said, "Do not tell anyone about the matter between us and the Great Lion." Actually, they might have guessed that the presence of a large number of ghost beasts might have something to do with the land of buried immortals. Quote, what he was worried about right now was that the ghost beast would find him even if he were to leave the Cloud Dragon mountain range. "This time, we will definitely get first place. The bastards of the Profound Sky Martial School have been eliminated, and the only ones left are the Lingzhan Martial Academy, and they only have 7 people. They can't kill many ghost beasts." Xiao Yumei laughed happily. "I gained a lot from this experiential learning. Of course, the biggest gain is to know you, brother." Quote, Qin Yun said with a smile, "Little girl, you did not look down on me like the others. It can be said that you have good taste. Otherwise, you would end up in a miserable state if you showed me your face." Xiao Yumei stuck out her tongue, thinking of Qi Shui and the rest. She had been miserably abused by Qin Yun before, and was either dead or crippled. Originally, she looked down on Qin Yun somewhat as well. The reason she had a good impression of Qin Yun was because of her sister. There was a month worth of time to the trial of hunting ghost beasts. As for Qin Yun and Xiao Yumei, they had returned to the valley 5 days early. Chapter 145 Completion of Trial. Chapter 145 Completion of Trial. The valley was filled with students from the 3 Mysterious Academy. They did not dare to go out during this period of time because if they encountered a ghost beast, they were basically doomed. Of course, to Qin Yun, it was just a few ghost beasts that could not withstand a single blow. He and Xiao Yumei had killed hundreds of them. During this period of time, Du Gui had also guided the students of the 3 Mysterious Academy in cultivating their mental energy. When Qin Yun returned, he saw Xie Wufeng testing his psyche. He could actually levitate 30 of the God-soaring stones. It could be said that he had improved tremendously. At this moment, all the students were extremely curious as to how many ghost beasts Qin Yun and Xiao Yumei had killed. The students of the 3 Mystical Academy were extremely fearful of the demonic beasts. Therefore, They speculated that Qin Yun and Xiao Yu would not have been able to kill many demonic beasts. Otherwise, they would not have returned earlier. It's already good enough to kill 5 ghost beasts. Xiao Yu Mei's standard is not bad. If she follows the Sky Profound Martial School, then she will definitely be ranked first in the academy. Following Qin Yun isn't a bad idea either. She has obtained at least a storage bracelet of holding. I want it too. Everyone watched Qin Yun walk into the martial arts practice square as they discussed softly. Xiao Yu Mei and Qin Yun were both dressed in black tights. Their clothes were clean and tidy. As the two of them walked closer, it looked like their relationship had improved. Upon returning to this place, Xiao Yu Mei's pretty face carried a hint of cold arrogance, looking just like an ice mountain beauty. Qin Yun smirked inwardly. He knew that Xiao Yu Mei was an extremely mischievous wild girl. Back in the Cloud Dragon Mountain range, she had been laughing and playing all day, as lively as she could get. That small mouth was either talking or eating. Compared to the current her, it was like a completely different person. What a coincidence, the people from the Ling Xuanxuan Martial Academy have returned as well. Suddenly, someone spoke up, and then everyone looked towards the cave passageway into the valley. Qin Yun looked over and saw 6 extremely miserable youths returning. There were many bloody wounds on their bodies and all of them looked miserable. The students of the Ling Xuanxuan Martial School were originally very arrogant, but now, they could no longer do so. As soon as the few of them returned, they sat on the ground paralyzed with fear written all over their faces. In comparison, Qin Yun and Xiao Yu looked clean, as though nothing had happened. The disparity was too great. Qin Yun and company are definitely just there to play. They did not kill any ghost beasts. That's right, the people of the Ling Zanwu Academy must have hunted a lot of them. Aren't they 7 people? It was only 6 now. Could it be, 1 died? Quote. The students of the 3 Mystical Academy couldn't help but shiver in fear. Even a person with powerful mental strength would die if they were to enter, needless to say, them. The vice principal of the Ling Zanwu Academy, Du Gui, had already walked over to treat his injuries. He frowned and said, "You shouldn't be injured that badly, right? How many ghost beasts have you guys killed?" Quote. 80. The captain of the Ling Zanwu Academy said. All the students let out a burst of admiration. In their eyes, a few people who could kill 80 ghost beasts were extremely powerful because if it was them, they would only be able to kill if they encountered ghost beasts. Yu Mei, Qin Yun, what about you? Du Gui asked. 2. Xiao Yu Mei said. 20. Not bad. Du Gui smiled. I'm fine. 245. Xiao Yu Mei snorted. What, 245? Du Gui's eyes immediately widened, thinking that he had heard of it. The injured student of the Lin Xuanwu Academy was in the midst of recuperating when he heard those words, and he abruptly stood up. The captain shouted, "Impossible. You only have 2 people, how can you kill so many ghost beasts?" Quote. Xiao Yu Mei laughed coldly. Don't make such a big fuss, we are just too lazy to kill, otherwise 2,000 would not be a problem. She took out the large bag and used a cold and proud gaze to look at the students of the Ling Zanwu Academy as she arrogantly said, in order to store more ghost beasts, Brother Yun has even specially refined a storage spirit artifact inside. She gave the storage pouch to Du Gui and continued, Teacher Du, release all of the spirit beast corpses inside it. Du Gui took it over to take a look and was immediately stunned. He then took a deep breath and threw the ghost beast corpses inside out, forming a small mountain. The majority of the large and small corpses of ghost beasts were crows, followed by other beast-type ghost beasts. They are indeed ghost beasts, without a doubt. They all have the ghost beast's spiritual energy waves. Even though he had seen it with his own eyes, he couldn't believe it. The students of the 3 Mysterious Academy were even more astonished. That was because in their eyes, demonic beasts were terrifying existences. As for Qin Yun and Xiao Yu Mei, they were able to kill more than 200 of them. Xie Wufeng, Huo Zhang, and Mirong Datong were not surprised because they knew of Qin Yun's capabilities. Teacher Du, I won't hide it from you. There are a large number of ghost beasts inside. Because I can fly in the air, I can easily kill them. Qin Yun said with a solemn expression, I think something big has happened inside the Cloud Dragon Mountain range, leading to the appearance of large numbers of ghost beasts. The Ling Xuanxuan Martial Arts Academy student said with a face full of fear, Teacher Du, we also encountered a few ghost beasts inside, and we could only run away. One of our companions died while fleeing. Quote. Du Gui nodded and said, we'll wait for the students of the Tianxuan Martial Arts Academy to come back. I'll first take a look at the ghost beasts you've killed. That team leader immediately released the corpses of their ghost beasts. Indeed, there were 80 of them, but they paled in comparison to Qin Yun and Xiao Yumei. In 5 days, the students of the Tianxuan Martial Arts Academy will not return. Then, the victorious ones will be Xiao Yumei and Qin Yun. Du Gui looked at the 2 piles of ghost beasts and became very worried. Qin Yun walked into the cave and wanted to return to cultivate, but he was stopped by Guo Cheng. You are not allowed to wander around and can only stay in the plaza. You are also not allowed to contact anyone. This is to prevent you from being possessed by evil spirits, so you must be monitored by us for at least 7 days. Guo Cheng said loudly to Qin Yun. Du Gui's expression was solemn as he nodded his head. Yes, the evil spirit is attached to the human body. Within 7 days, it will definitely change. The most obvious change is that the skin will turn black. Upon hearing these words, the nearby students all scattered like they were avoiding a god of pests. Qin Yun and company are uninjured. That's too suspicious. If he was a ghost beast, he would have been killed immediately. This is also a good thing. Some people wished that Qin Yun was a demonic beast because they were extremely envious of him. Qin Yun and Xiao Yumei were sitting in the martial arts arena, patiently waiting. Dean Bai was beside Qin Yun. If there was any sudden movement, he could control Qin Yun in time to prevent Guo Cheng from attacking. 5 days of time could be passed very quickly for Qin Yun. It would be over after he closed his eyes and cultivated. When the night of the 5th day arrived, Guo Cheng of the Sky Profound Martial School could no longer sit still. He paced back and forth in the training field, feeling very anxious. If the sun rose and their team did not return, the victors would be Qin Yun and Xiao Yumei. Chapter 146 Who Killed More? Chapter 146 Who Killed More? Guo Cheng hated Xiao Yumei and Qin Yun to the core, so he did not wish for them to enter the bone refining formation. This was especially true for Xiao Yumei, who previously refused to listen to his arrangements, causing him to lose all face. Qin Yun secretly admired that wild girl, Xiao Yumei. She was able to sit here quietly for 5 days. He was truly worried that Xiao Yumei would suddenly go crazy. Xiao Yumei originally could not sit still, but seeing Guo Cheng's anxious look, she was very happy and was able to endure it. The students of the 3 Zon Academy also did not rest because they wanted to see if Wu Yuchen's team could return. Thus, everyone within the valley waited quietly in the middle of the night. Time slowly passed. The pitch-black sky slowly lit up. 9 scorching suns rose into the sky, signaling the end of this trial to hunt and kill ghost beasts. Time's up. Wu Yuchen's team failed to return on time, so they were eliminated. The victors are Qin Yun and Xiao Yumei. As Du Gui said this, the vice principal of the Ling Zon Wu Academy, Luo Ke, suddenly shouted, "Wait! Dean Luo, what's the matter?" Now the result is very clear. Du Gui said. Luo Ke asked, "Teacher Du, if one obtains a single soul essence, how will you calculate the result?" The students of our Ling Zon Wu Academy have killed powerful ghost beasts. Because the corpses of ghost beasts are too big, they can only take the soul essence inside. Qin Yun and Xiao Yumei looked at each other and their eyes were filled with ridicule and amusement. That was because they still had a lot of soul essences in their hands. After Du Gui heard this, he frowned and said, "A single soul essence is equal to 50 ghost beasts." Luo Ke looked at one of the captains and shouted, "You don't need to hide it either. Although the soul essence is very precious, if you can enter the bone refining formation, you might be able to enter the 7th level of the martial body. At that time, you can kill even more powerful ghost beasts and obtain their soul essence." Qin Yun sneered in his heart. He could tell with a glance that the reason why Luo Ke had given the soul essence to the students was to cheat at this critical juncture. Guo Cheng smiled and said, "A ghost beast that can form its own soul is very powerful and can match 50 ghost beasts. If the students of the Ling Zanwu Academy can obtain their soul essence, then my Tian Zan Martial Arts Academy will recognize them as well. He was smiling on the surface, but in his heart, he was cursing how despicable Luo Ke was. If Wu Yuchen had any hope of winning, they would be defeated by this move as well. And right now, Wu Yuchen and company had yet to return. Furthermore, he did not want to see Qin Yun and Xiao Yumei achieve victory, so he could only support Luo Ke. The leader of the Ling Zanwu Academy took out 4 green soul essences and handed them over to Du Gui. He said, "Teacher Du, this can count as 200 ghost beasts, right?" When Huo Zhang saw them, he swore in a low voice, "Damn it, we let these guys turn the tables. Damn it." Du Gui's expression was a little unnatural. How could he not see through this? However, he did not know what to do now. "Teacher Du, you are the referee. Quickly, determine the outcome. Our Lin Zanwu Academy's team is equivalent to hunting 280 ghost beasts. Qin Yun and company only have 245. We have won," Luo Ke said with a very proud smile. The envious students of the 3 Zan Academy could not help but laugh. Qin Yun and Xiao Yumei did not win in the end. It made them very happy. Lin Xuanwu Academy. Du Gui's words were cut off as he saw Qin Yun walk over with 2 soul essences in his hand. Everyone was astonished. Qin Yun actually had a soul essence as well. Furthermore, they appeared to be even brighter than the Lin Xuanwu Academy. "Teacher Du, we wanted to hide it too, but we had no choice but to take it out now to win. These 2 soul essence are equivalent to 100 ghost beasts. Right now, we have 345, Qin Yun said with a smile. Luo Ke cursed in his heart. He never expected Qin Yun to have a soul essence too. Guo Cheng was also very surprised. For a student of the Ling Zanwu Academy to have a soul essence, it was certain that it had been given to him long ago. Furthermore, Qin Yun's soul essence looked so bright that one could tell with a glance that it had only just been obtained. Qin Yun and Xiao Yumei were actually able to hunt and kill such powerful ghost beasts. Du Gui was also shocked as he sighed repeatedly in his heart. The students of the Ling Zanwu Academy took out another 4 soul essences and said, "We are still hiding them, now we have an additional 200. When Qin Yun saw it, he smiled and took out 4 soul essences. When everyone saw this, they cried out in alarm. Previously, it was a competition of ghost beasts, but now it's a competition of soul essences. Take them all out. Luo Ke was anxious because these soul essences were originally meant for Du Gui. After all, Du Gui had shared the cultivation technique with everyone. Du Gui was secretly happy, he was able to obtain so many soul essences. The students of the Ling Zanwu Academy clenched their teeth and took out 6 soul essences in one go. Now, they had a total of 14 soul essences. When Qin Yun saw it, he took out another 8. There were a total of 14 of them. "Ha ha, do you have more?" Qin Yun said with a smile. Luo Ke's mouth began to twitch. These 14 soul essence had all been wasted. The students of the Ling Zanwu Academy could no longer afford it. Du Gui cheerfully took the soul essences before announcing Qin Yun and Xiao Yumei as victors. Qin Yun did not feel any pain for his soul essence because he still had dozens of items in his storage space. Furthermore, he was grateful to Du Gui for learning the divine imperial art and the concentrated spirit slaughtering art. Actually, the seniors, such as Du Gui and Guo Cheng, were well aware of this. Qin Yun and Xiao Yumei had relied on their own strength to obtain their own soul essence. There might even be some that they had just not taken out. This kind of strength was the most shocking. Suddenly, someone from the team from the Ling Zanwu Academy shouted. His skin had turned black, his eyes were bloodshot, his hair was wildly flying, and a black aura was billowing. "The Nine Yang Divine Spirit, the Nine Yang Spirit," the student shouted crazily. "Quickly kill him," Qin Yun hurriedly shouted as he felt great shock in his heart. That mysterious evil soul power had actually chased him here. "Who will do it? Should I do it?" Xiao Yumei said coldly. "I'll do it." After Du Gui finished speaking, his eyes flashed and he released an invisible spiritual force that struck the student's head. The student bled out of his 7 orifices. He was already dead. The student who went to hunt for the spirit beasts had changed on the 6th day of his return. Qin Yun was told that possessed would change within 7 days. He thought it was just a casual remark, but he never expected that someone had been possessed by an evil spirit. You guys still need to stay here for one more day. Du Gui's expression was solemn. Generally speaking, someone possessed by evil spirits would not be able to resist for more than 6 days, but in order to be conservative, we have to wait for the 7th day before we can decide. Qin Yun and Xiao Yumei were not worried either. If the more powerful Ghost Beast King was killed by them, the vile souls would definitely not be able to approach them, much less possess them. After the 7th day, the trial finally came to an end. It made people sigh. Qin Yun and Xiao Yumei's team was actually so powerful as to obtain the final victory. The team led by Wu Yuchen from the Tianzan Martial School did not return for the 7th time. Could they be dead? A student whispered. Extremely possible. If the party was not annihilated, at least 1 or 2 of them would have returned. When Guo Cheng heard everyone's guesses, his heart burned with anxiety. Among his students that were participating in the Tianzan Martial School, the only one still living was the Xiao Yumei that he hated the most. I'll head back to the Tianzan Martial School first. Brother Yun, you must enter the Star Zan Wu Academy. When the time comes, we will enter the bone refining formation together. Xiao Yumei said softly. I'm going back as well. I will pass by Tianzan Martial Arts Academy to send you off. Du Gui laughed. Qin Yun nodded and watched them leave. Guo Cheng, on the other hand, intended to make a trip into the Cloud Dragon Mountain range by himself. After all, the students in that team all came from famous sects. Chapter 147 Shiekiro. Chapter 147 Shiekiro. The team led by Wu Yuchen had already been killed by Qin Yun and Xiao Yumei. They were reduced to ashes. Guo Cheng would not be able to find them even if he went in to look. I can finally rest. Qin Yun could not wait to drip blood on the immortal graveyard diagram. He was extremely suspicious of Xiao Yulin, Qi Melian and his beautiful grand preceptor. They had all obtained fortuitous encounters because of the blood on the painting. Mu Rongjun walked over and said with a smile, Brother Yun, please don't turn into a ghost beast. Boss Xie learned the ghost slaying technique. Haha. Qin Yun smirked and said, do you think I'm a weak chicken possessed by a demonic beast? Huo Zhang laughed loudly, of course not. Our brother Yun is very powerful. Killing ghost beasts is like cutting grass. Xie Wufeng was relieved when he saw that Qin Yun was fine. He then entered the cave to celebrate with Qin Yun. Qin Yun entered the small hall in the mountain cave and saw the table full of sumptuous dishes. Then, he began to eat and drink without a trace of politeness. Murong Jun's handsome face was filled with a wicked smile as he toasted Qin Yun, Brother Yun, you are truly amazing. To be able to tame an arrogant and cold little girl like Xiao Yumei, I'm truly impressed by your skill in the art of female control. You normally do not reveal yourself. You truly make me underestimate you. Truth be told, Xiao Yumei, this little girl and I have known each other since childhood and she even calls me brother. Our relationship is very good. I promised to give her a storage spirit artifact, that's why she gave me first place in the Hidden Dragon martial arts competition. Even if I were to spar with her, it would only be a game. You should have heard that we couldn't use weapons, right? He had already come up with a reasonable explanation. You lied to me, didn't you? Mu Rong Darren asked in disbelief. Qin Yun said with a smile, then, do you think that I was not the one who forged the storage bracelet? I have long since forged them. Quote. He then took out a storage bracelet and continued, look, I have another one here. This one is for little Mei Lian, she's also my little sister. Xie Wufeng was slightly surprised, Qi Melian. Her martial spirit seemed to be very special. Back then when she was here, I was the one who persuaded her to choose the Star Zan Wu Academy. Huo Zhang laughed foolishly and said, she's a very simple girl. She's kind-hearted and also very cute. Mu Rongjun frowned, what is her martial spirit? No one seems to know at all. Qin Yun had never asked before, so when he heard them mention it, he was also curious. He asked, eldest brother Xie, what is little Mei Lian's martial soul? Since Xie Wufeng did not have a martial spirit for a period of time, he had studied martial spirits and had deep understanding of martial spirits. What's strange about Qi Melian's martial spirit is that, I suddenly forgot. Xie Wufeng's expression changed slightly, I can't remember no matter how I think about it. I remember that I've seen it before. But that is it. Mu Rong Jun also cried out in surprise, I forgot too. I remember that when she first entered the Three Zon Academy and tested her martial spirit, I was there watching her from the side. Let's ask about it when we enter the Star Zon Wu Academy. Let's drink, Qin Yun said with a smile. His heart was filled with suspicion. He believed that since the Immortal's tomb had something to do with Qi Mailan, her martial spirit would definitely not be simple. Just like Xiao Yulin, apart from possessing a spiritual force martial spirit, she also had a very mysterious martial spirit. After eating and drinking, it was noon. Qin Yun also entered his room. After entering the room, he closed the stone door and took out the immortal burying diagram. Drip some blood and see. I hope there won't be too much of a commotion. He forced a drop of blood from his finger and dripped it onto the immortal graveyard diagram. Then, he stared with wide eyes. After a moment, he frowned and said, no reaction. Just as he finished speaking, the blank immortal graveyard diagram suddenly flashed and then, a gentle and beautiful voice rang out. Xiao Yun, is that you? Quote. This is, Big Sister Grand Preceptor. Is that you? Qin Yun could not help but exclaim as he stared intently at the immortal graveyard diagram. This voice was none other than Qin Yun's former Grand Preceptor, Xie Qiro. You've finally obtained your mother's immortal graveyard diagram. Xie Qiro smiled sweetly and gently. Elder Sister Grand Preceptor, where are you? Qin Yun asked hurriedly, I'm very worried about you. After a while, Xie Qiro said softly, I'm fine now, you don't have to worry about me. Oh right, why did you drip your blood on this immortal graveyard diagram? Quote. I wanted to see if I could get something good. Qin Yun felt somewhat dejected. Also he wanted to know where she was but she didn't want to tell him. Xie Qiro replied, this immortal graveyard diagram did have something in it but I've already taken it out. It's the Nine Yang Divine Spirit. I left it to you. The Nine Yang Divine Spirit was actually extracted from the immortal graveyard diagram. At that moment, Qin Yun finally understood why the ghost beasts were pestering him. It turned out that they actually wanted the immortal graveyard diagram. Xiao Yun, make good use of the Nine Yang Divine Spirit. It will definitely make you stronger. We'll meet again if fate wills it. Xie Qiro bid Qin Yun farewell with a light smile. Grand Preceptor Elder Sister, Qin Yun shouted a few times but did not hear a response. He hurriedly went to drip blood but it did not react. Now he was sure that Xie Qiro's condition was relatively stable but he didn't know where she was. It seemed that she was very far away from him. This must be related to the immortal graveyard. Qin Yun thought to himself. He put away the immortal graveyard diagram and let the Nine Yang Divine Spirit appear on his wrist. He frowned as he stared at it and said, my mental strength is already very strong. I don't know if I can open the second bead. After an hour of trying, he gave up because there was no reaction at all. Initially, he had planned to ask Xie Qiro about the Nine Yin Spirit and the Nine Yang Divine Spirit because he did not know anything about them. Especially right now, there were evil spirits chasing after his Nine Yang Spirit. I will first increase my own strength. We can talk after passing the exam. If everything goes smoothly, I can enter the Star Zon Wu Academy and immediately go to the bone refining formation. I will be able to quickly enter the 7th level of the martial body. With his current age, if he could step into the 7th level of the martial body, his potential would not be any worse than Xiao Yulin's. He took out Tsunami's skill and frowned as he looked through it. Now that he didn't have Yang Shiyu to help him explain the skills, he needed to understand it himself. This required a lot of time to figure out the difficulty. Tsunami technique is a Zon-level martial art and its power is very strong. It is also very suitable for my vibration martial spirit. I must master it. Qin Yun had heard many rumors that the examination would be extremely difficult. Furthermore, it was biased towards his team. The other teams had a lot of people. Only their team had 4 people. When the time came, the assessment rules would be very disadvantageous to them. Therefore, he had to master all kinds of martial arts before then in order to raise his strength in a short month. The Tsunami skill needs to be used with inner strength. The starting point is very high. If you don't know how to use inner strength, then you will have no way to practice this skill. Qin Yun could use the Vajra inner strength, so he could cultivate this skill. He only needed to understand and grasp the essence of the technique. Chapter 148 Tsunami Technique. Chapter 148 Tsunami Technique. A few days later, Qin Yun's table was covered in many pieces of paper. These were all things that he had comprehended when he understood the tsunami skill. They were all rather chaotic and needed further attention to sort them out. As long as I have mastered the basics, I'll be satisfied. I'll definitely be able to do it. Qin Yun was very confident in himself. Over the next few days, he focused on cultivating his tsunami technique. The other students in the valley were also earnestly cultivating their cultivation techniques. As soon as possible, they would raise their strength to enter the examination. Only by passing the exam would one be able to leave the 3 Zon Academy and head to the Zon Grade Martial Arts Academy. Only then would they have the chance to step into the 7th level of the martial body realm. Otherwise, with his own strength, it would be difficult for him to step into the 7th level of the martial body in a short period of time. Inside the room, Qin Yun struck a palm at the wall as his inner strength surged. It set off a shockwave. He muttered to himself, "If Teacher Yang was here, I would definitely be able to grasp the tsunami technique in a short period of time. I've now spent an entire 10 days before I managed to achieve initial rank. Right now, I can only create 1 shock wave. I will be able to create at least 3 shock waves before I can enter the sect." Tsunami skill, as long as one was able to create a shock wave, even if one was just initiated in it, the 2nd and 3rd shock waves would still be achievable with some difficulty. And the power of the skill would be even stronger. In the small success stage, there were 4th, 5th and 6th shock waves. Qin Yun continued practicing the tsunami technique. Although it was just a shock wave, it was extremely powerful. It had to be known that it was produced from his inner strength. Not only did he practice the tsunami technique, he also practiced other martial arts. He had practiced the flaming light fist and the flaming cloud steps to the great perfection stage. However, it was not easy to learn to great perfection. It required not only time to comprehend but also one's physique and cultivation base to be strong enough. The 10,000 horse palm and the Hanshin style could continue improving. They are difficult techniques to learn and power was not small either. Qin Yun had comprehended and learned a variety of martial arts by himself, allowing him to have a deeper understanding of cultivation techniques. It was easier to understand when he was learning other cultivation techniques in the future. It was because Yang Shiyu frequently read all kinds of martial arts books that she had a good understanding of the difficulty of martial arts. I've finally reached the true entrance. The tsunami waves that I've displayed can carry out 3 shock waves. After Qin Yun released a surge of inner strength, 3 ripples would appear. They were like a wave as they surged forward with an even greater power. He mocked himself, to think that it took me half a month to master the basics. He felt that if Yang Shiyu was here, it would at most take 5 days to reach the triple shock wave. In the past, because of Yang Shiyu's guidance, he could learn the 10,000 horse palm and the Hanshin style very quickly. Now, he had mastered the 1,000 horse palm and used inner strength to attack. It was like using the power of 1,000 horses, but it consumed a lot of inner strength. And the mastery of the Hanshin style could unleash the might of moving a mountain and could also possess very powerful strength. I have mastered these martial arts so well. Ordinary 6th level martial body wouldn't be a match for me. I just don't know what will happen when I fight a 7th level martial body. Qin Yun pondered to himself. He was the most familiar with the 6th style wind slaying fist and the dragon forging fist. He also frequently used them, so he was able to learn them very quickly and master them all. The cultivation technique he could learn was more or less finished. There were only 10 days left before the examination. 10 days left. However, I still feel that it's not enough. There will definitely be someone who will deliberately target us in this exam. So, I must make myself even stronger or else I won't be able to pass the exam. Quote. Qin Yun was not worried. He was very certain that there would be people who would obstruct him. The people from the Tian Zon Martial School and Blue Spirit Star Palace especially did not want to see him enter the Zon Level Martial Academy. He had studied martial arts for more than 20 days and had not yet relaxed. Even now, he was very nervous because if he couldn't pass this time's exam, then the next time would be in half a year. There are still 3 or 4 months before the betrothal ceremony begins. When the time comes, they will definitely notify me, especially that slut empress. She will definitely want me to go to the scene and watch her son get engaged to Xiao Yulan. At that moment, Qin Yun was soaking in a large bathtub. He was releasing flames and heating up the water in the bathtub. This allowed him to relax his entire body. A proper relaxation would also be of great help to the body. Suddenly, he looked at the heavenly lion totem on his arm and could not help but recall the words of the golden fire lion. The lion said that the heavenly lion totem needs to be comprehended. Can it be that I can really comprehend something? With a puzzled expression, he quietly looked at the heavenly lion totem mark on his arm, trying to figure out what it was. Just like that, he could not help but be engrossed in the sight. The water in the large tub became ice cold and he did not even notice. It's strange, I can almost see the lions moving. Qin Yun did not know why he had such a feeling. It secretly delighted him as he continued watching with rapt attention. Several hours later, he suddenly heard a roar. Lions roar ringing in my ears. Qin Yun was jolted awake before he closed his eyes again. In his mind, a picture of the heavenly lion totem was etched. Roar, roar, roar. He could clearly hear the lions roar after he had drawn the picture of the heavenly lion totem in his mind. He could even see the lines and patterns of the heavenly lion totem, which seemed to be a way to use inner strength. He quickly memorized the changes to the heavenly lion totem when it roared. My arm has the blood of a heavenly lion. Perhaps, I can even control the cultivation technique of a heavenly lion. Qin Yun opened his eyes and carefully recalled the changes that occurred to the heavenly lion totem in his mind. According to his comprehension, he would then proceed according to the changes on the heavenly lion totem and control a surge of inner qi to flow out of his throat. In next to no time, he felt a lump in his throat and he couldn't help but shout loudly. Roar. The roar was like the roar of a raging lion. Qin Yun was alarmed. He did not expect that by chance, he would learn the lion's roar. Moreover, this was not an ordinary roar, it could release a very strong inner force wave. If such a sudden roar were to be made during the martial arts competition, it would surely be very effective. He couldn't help but get excited as he thought about it. He closed his eyes and continued to comprehend the heavenly lion totem. If I continue to learn, I might even be able to use inner strength to roar. The power will definitely be even stronger. Not long after, his comprehension of this technique became clearer and clearer. The name of this technique even appeared in his mind, Heavenly Lions Roar Through the Sky. Looks like I have really obtained the inheritance of the Heavenly Lion. I need to continue comprehending and maybe master a few more moves. Qin Yun continued looking at the Heavenly Lion totem on his arm. He concentrated on comprehending the other Heavenly Lion martial arts. The inheritance of totems was very mysterious. It was only a totem, but it contained such a mysterious energy that one could perceive martial arts from it. And this kind of inheritance was not recorded in any books because there were very few opportunities for humans to obtain a beast totem's inheritance. Chapter 149 The Last Days of Three Zon Academy. Chapter 149 The Last Days of Three Zon Academy. A puppet beast made from the heavenly lion totem was also extremely powerful. One could see that the heavenly lion totem marks were originally very powerful and could be considered a type of powerful and mysterious mark. Soon, Qin Yun comprehended another martial art from the heavenly lion totem. Heaven Lion's Fighting Dragon Claw. This claw technique was very powerful. It was able to use inner strength to simulate a sharp lion claw, and when used on the battlefield, it could cause a translucent lion claw illusion to appear on the surface of one's palm. At the time it was about to hit, this illusionary lion claw would have a very powerful strength, just like a real lion claw. Qin Yun used this move to leave a deep claw mark on the stone wall. The heavenly lion inheritance can actually be controlled by humans, it's really strange. With just a thought, Qin Yun's palm overflowed with internal energy and formed a translucent lion claw. Furthermore, it was very large. He felt that if someone was caught unprepared, they would definitely be cut into several pieces by those sharp claws. If I want to use it myself, I have to be very careful. Even he was worried that he would be cut by the lion claw formed from his inner force. It was as sharp as a real blade. He had heard of similar cultivation techniques in the past, but he had never had the opportunity to learn them. With this move, I can use it in place of a weapon even if I can't use it. I can also use the 6-style wind-slaying fist. The lion claw had 4 movable claws, just like 4 daggers. If he were to use the 6-style wind-slaying fist, the power of the 4 daggers could be imagined. The heavenly lion is also a fire lion. It is very helpful to me in using fire inner force. Qin Yun secretly guessed that the reason he had obtained the acknowledgement of the heavenly lion totem was most likely because of the purple gold fire martial spirit. For the next 2 days, he did not manage to comprehend any martial arts from the heavenly lion totem, so he had no choice but to give up. The heavenly lion totem had brought him too many surprises and he was satisfied. In the future, he would be able to use the heavenly lion totem to forge stronger puppet beasts or weapons. Qin Yun's cultivation technique had improved greatly. As a result, his strength had increased greatly. He could be said to be in existence at the peak of the 6th level of the martial body. When he came out of his room, he saw Xie Wufeng in the living room. The entire valley was enveloped in a very tense atmosphere. Everyone was in the midst of their final sprint. Only Xie Wufeng remained, leisurely sipping his tea and reading a book. Although he only had his left hand, he was very optimistic. Eldest brother Xie, it seems like you're very confident in this exam. Even he felt very nervous. Xie Wufeng poured himself a cup of tea and said lightly, "This assessment is very disadvantageous to us, but no matter what, we need to give it our all, otherwise there won't be any more chances." 2 days ago, Dean Bai came to tell me that the 3 Zon Academy will be abolished after the assessment. In the future, if you want to enter the Zon Level Martial Arts Academy, you will need to sign many agreements with the Zon Level Martial Arts Academy. Qin Yun walked over and drank the cup of tea. He felt even more pressured. Xie Wufeng said, "Right now, the 3 Zon Level Martial Academies all want to control outstanding students for a period of time and obtain more benefits for them." Long before the Blue Spirit Star Palace appeared, the Tian Zon Martial School and the Ling Zon Wu Academy were like this. He noticed that Qin Yun was slightly nervous and could not help but say with a laugh, "You need to relax. Tightening your nerves like this will affect your performance." I'll go out for a walk." Qin Yun nodded. Xie Wufeng was able to do it so easily because he had participated in many examinations. It could be said that he had a lot of experience. Huo Zhang and Mu Rongjun also stayed in their rooms, bitterly cultivating their martial arts to make themselves stronger during the exam. Right now, they were not going to face the assessment alone. They were going to be a group. A responsible person wouldn't want to be a burden to the team, so they had to work very hard to cultivate. Qin Yun walked out of the cave and saw a change outside the valley. The mountains surrounding the valley had many platforms built around them. On these platforms are many beautifully built wooden houses. Dean Bai, dressed in white, was walking leisurely in the middle of the training field. He looked full of energy. Qin Yun walked over and said with a smile, "Dean Bai, I heard that after the assessment, there will be no more 3 Zon Academy, is that right?" Dean Bai nodded. It was mainly because something went wrong with the Cloud Dragon Mountain range that caused the cancellation of the 3 Zon Academy. In the future, the Zon Level Martial Arts Academy will also have its own way of recruiting new students. Qin Yun looked at the wooden houses built halfway up the mountain and asked, "Why are you building those houses?" The teachers of Blue Spirit Star Palace, Tianshuan Martial Arts Academy and Ling Zon Wu Academy came to build it. During the assessment, they will watch from above. Principal Bai said, "Because it is the final exam, it is highly valued. Many people will come to watch. There are only 3 days left, and it will be very soon." Qin Yun suddenly felt nervous. Dean Bai patted Qin Yun on the shoulder and said, "Qin Yun, all of you must work hard and do your best. Otherwise, there wouldn't be the 3 Zon house in the future. It's not a problem for you to enter the Star Zon Wu Academy, but it may be difficult for them." Suddenly, a gust of wind blew over from the sky and many people appeared above. Qin Yun immediately sensed one of the auras. It came from Zhou Chuan and Shuangfeng. They had come to visit the final exam of the 3 Profound Academy. Dean Bai smiled and said, "Quite a number of people have come." Qin Yun could only see figures landing on the wooden houses by the mountainside. The examination will be conducted on the training field in the valley. As long as one has good eyesight, they will be able to see the examination results halfway up the mountain. There are a lot of people from Blue Spirit Star Palace. What are they doing here? They are doing most of the things. Qin Yun said with a light snort. Coming here will only increase the pressure on others. Dean Bai chuckled and said, don't worry, they are only here to take a look and won't interfere. The specific details of the assessment will be planned by the 3 Zon-grade martial academies in the Hall of Marks. The Blue Spirit Star Palace will at most provide assistance. Qin Yun did not believe that the Blue Spirit Star Palace would not interfere. Suddenly, Dean Zhong and Duan Qian flew down from above and landed beside Qin Yun. Dean Zhong, Grandpa Duan, how do you do? Qin Yun was very happy to see them. Duan Qian laughed, brat, you seem to have become much stronger. Dean Zhong said, Qin Yun, Teacher Yang has also come. It's just that it's inconvenient for her to come down to see you. You can't disappoint her. Yang Shiyu had also come. Qin Yun did not know why, but he felt a surge of energy in his heart. The nervousness from before had been swept away. Duan Qian replied, it's not just Teacher Yang but many of the disciples of Blue Spirit Star Palace are here as well. For example, Xiao Yulan, Qin Zhengfeng, Xiao Yanglong. Xiao Yanglong, the crown prince of the Tianzan Empire, had stepped into the martial Dao realm at a very young age and was rumored to have become the chief disciple of the Western Palace. Chapter 150 Strength Storing Beads. Chapter 150 Strength Storing Beads. When Qin Yun heard the name Xiao Yanglong, he could not help but clench his fists tightly. That was Yang Shiyu's fiancé. Dean Zhong looked around at the wooden houses on the mountainside and said, most of the people here are here for you. They want to see how much you have grown. They all thought that your martial soul had been crippled, so they all wanted to see with their own eyes if your strength had regressed. Everyone knew that all the students in this exam would give their all because this was their last chance. Therefore, many people took the opportunity to take a look at Qin Yun's strength. In order to pass the examination and enter the Star Zon Wu Academy, they would definitely do their best to carry out the various tests and display their strength. When Qin Yun returned to the cave, Xie Wufeng noticed a change in his gaze. Brother Yun, what's going on outside? You don't seem to be too nervous anymore. You're full of fighting spirit. Xie Wufeng smiled faintly. Qin Yun smiled and said, there are a lot of people outside. My teacher at the Waling Wu Academy has also come. With her looking at me, I won't be nervous anymore. In the past, when he had participated in all kinds of martial arts competitions and exams, Yang Shiyu had been watching by the side, which had greatly encouraged him. Xie Wufeng also knew that Qin Yun's teacher was Yang Shiyu. She was an extremely talented woman. At such a young age, she was already at the 9th level of the martial body. That's good. You must believe in your own strength and be sure to pass the examination. Qin Yun entered the room. He wanted to familiarize himself with the various martial arts techniques during the final moments to ensure that he could easily execute them at a critical moment. 3 days later, Mu Rong Daren and Huo Zhang came out of their rooms. After they learned a lot of things, they felt a surge of motivation in their hearts. This was their last chance to enter the Zon-level martial arts academy. As usual, Qin Yun was dressed in black, while Xie Wufeng was dressed in white. Murong Daren was dressed the best. He was dressed in luxurious red clothes that gave off a very sullen aura. This big guy Huo Zhang was wearing a set of coarse hemp clothes. He felt that he would rot anyway, so he didn't need to wear it very well. Dean Bai had already told them not to wear light pattern equipment, so they kept it. There would definitely be a martial arts competition in this type of exam. It was just that he didn't know how to compare, and it definitely wasn't simple because it was a team competition. Let's go. Xie Wufeng walked in front, full of confidence. His expression was calm, without a hint of discouragement due to losing his arm. Qin Yun, Huo Zhang and Murong Daren did not feel nervous either. They walked steadily out of the cave. Outside, many teams were lined up. There weren't as many people as when Qin Yun entered the academy. The main reason was because of the numerous trials outside, so there were many deaths and injuries. The 10 squads now numbered less than 200 in total. Qin Yun looked at the mountains around the valley and saw many exquisite wooden houses that were scattered about. Those people were also watching the assessment from the inside of the houses. Seeing that everyone was present, Dean Bai shouted, "All teams, listen carefully. The first round of tests is about to begin. Only after you have passed the 3 rounds of examination can you enter the Zon-level martial arts academy that you have chosen. For the first round of the exam, you have to fill a large pearl with inner strength and finish it in 1 incense stick of time. Also, you have to withstand the test of strength to determine the inner strength within the pearl. Bring out the strength-restoring bead." The strength-storing pearl was very large and about 2 meters wide. It was completely transparent and it looked like a very large crystal bead. On the mountainside, in a relatively large wooden house, there was an extravagant hall. There were many martial body level 9 and martial Dao realm experts sitting in the hall. Yang Shiyu, Duan Qian and Dean Zhong were here as well as Master Wei, Duke Yan and the other old scholars of Tianshan. They seemed to have gathered here on purpose. Yang Shiyu entered the Eastern Palace of Blue Spirit Star Palace and became a disciple of the Eastern Palace. She also wore a dark blue dress, giving her a cold, refined, and spiritual aura. With a cold glint in her eyes, she turned to look at Master Wei, who was walking in her direction. "Miss Yang, Qin Yun was once your student, so you seem to have great confidence in him. How about I gamble with you? I bet that his team won't be able to pass the first round. 1-5, the more you bet, the more I'll lose." Master Wei chuckled. After Duan Qian heard this, he smiled and said, "Master Wei, this kind of interesting thing, can you allow me to participate as well?" Dean Zhong laughed and said, "I'll come too." The Duke of Yan said with a sneer, "The 4 of them, Qin Yun's group, would find it impossible to fill such a large strength-storing pearl within an incense stick time. All of you actually think that they can pass this round of examination. I bet 5,000 purple coins, this is all the crystal coins I have." Yang Shiyu's voice was cold and filled with confidence as she sneered, "When you can't afford to pay 5 times, I'll chop off your head." Master Wei suddenly quivered. 5,000 purple coins, that was 5 million crystal coins. If he lost, he would have to pay 25 million. He agreed immediately. All right. He refused to allow Duan Qian and Dean Zhong to participate. If he was only betting with Yang Shiyu, he could still afford to lose. Joining Duan Qian and Dean Zhong would not do. Yang Shiyu took out 5,000 purple coins and handed it over to Master Wei, coldly saying, "Take it well." When the Duke of Yan saw this, he said with a smile, "Master Wei, congratulations on making a fortune." Duan Qian laughed. "Duke of Yan, how about you play with me? If you want to play, so be it. I'll pay you 1-5. How much are you betting on me?" Duke Yan also wanted to make a profit because he could see that Duan Qian and the rest had blind confidence in Qin Yun. Especially Yang Shiyu, she didn't even think before taking out 5 million crystal coins to gamble. "I also want to bet 5,000 purple coins." Duan Qian laughed. The Duke of Yan smiled as he received Duan Qian's purple coin and felt that it would definitely be his. This assessment is very disadvantageous for Qin Yun's group. The other teams have more than 10 people, while Qin Yun's group only have 4 people. It's indeed difficult to fill up such a gigantic pearl with energy storage in 1 incense stick. Even 4 of the 7th level of the martial body might not be able to do it. Master Wei smiled and said, "That's why, I'm definitely going to win. Qin Yun has 1 spiritual vein and Xie Wufang has 2. It's fated that a team like theirs will never be able to pass this assessment." Quote. At this moment, the huge crystal ball was moved up and placed in front of each team. Xie Wufang was worried that someone would try to trick him, so he chose one for himself. Only then did he feel at ease. One of the team leaders jeered loudly, "Even if you have 2 incense sticks of time, you still won't be able to fill up the strength-restoring beads. You can just give up." On the other hand, Xie Wufang and Qin Yun looked calm. Although Huo Zhang and Murong Darren found it difficult, they believed in their own strength. In the training field, there were 10 2-meter-wide crystal beads lined up in a row. Each crystal bead was surrounded by students, waiting for the start of the examination. After igniting an incense stick, Dean Bai announced the start of the first round of examinations. Chapter 151. After the announcement was made, all the students stretched out their hands and placed them on the crystal bead, crazily pouring their inner strength into it. If it was filled with inner strength, the large crystal ball would emit a flashing light. In the beginning, the inside of the 9 crystal beads started emitting a faint mist. In these 9 squads, there were more than 10 people at the 6th level of the martial body. They were pouring their inner energy into it at a fast speed, and soon, there were changes to the energy-storing beads. Only Qin Yun and company, the crystal pearl, did not show any signs of improvement. This was something everyone had expected. Master Wei looked at the ice-cold Yang Shiyu and said with a smile, "Did you see that? The 4 of them are at this level." The Duke of Yan was also smiling extremely happily. He looked at Duan Qian and said, "General Manager, I'm sorry. You've lost for sure." On the martial stage, the other teams looked over at Xie Wufeng's side and could not help but sneer. Xie Wufeng said to Qin Yun, "Brother Yun, let's begin." Qin Yun nodded before closing his eyes and releasing his primordial spirit. All of a sudden, a sparkling and translucent thread emerged from his body and rose slowly into the air, rising very high into the air. Xie Wufeng did the same. However, the threads that spilled out were thicker than Qin Yun's. This was their origin soul. The primordial spirit was connected to the inner yuan. When it rose into the air, it could quickly absorb spiritual energy. They actually used their primordial spirits. Dean Zhong's eyes lit up as he chuckled. Qin Yun had cultivated his primordial spirit long ago. I never expected that this young man called Xie Wufeng would actually be able to cultivate it too. Your primordial spirit can quickly absorb even more spiritual energy. It's said that it's 10 times more than normal. Duan Qian laughed. Master Wei said with a sneer, "HMPH, Qin Yun only has 1 spirit vein. How much can he acquire? The person called Xie Wufeng, who has a single arm, only has 2 spirit veins. It's such a waste for them to be able to cultivate their primordial spirit. Even if there were many 9th level martial body cultivators, they might not even be able to cultivate to the primordial spirit. Therefore, they were secretly envious." After Qin Yun and Xie Wufeng released their primordial spirits, the interior of their large strength-storing pearl was filled with a mist. "It's not enough," Qin Yun said softly before looking at the long thread. With a thought, he closed his eyes and controlled the thread to turn into a spirit mark. The spirit mark were the most ordinary chi-gathering mark, and it was not complicated either. Therefore, under Qin Yun's control, the primordial spirit mark quickly turned into a chi-gathering mark. Indeed, after the primordial spirit thread turned into the chi-gathering mark, it crazily absorbed the 9 yang energy. This speed was several times faster than before. Qin Yun was overjoyed as he said, "Wufeng brother, relax your control over your origin soul. I will use my mind to transform your origin soul threads into chi-gathering marks." Xie Wufeng could also sense that the speed at which Qin Yun infused his inner force into the bottle had suddenly increased significantly. He nodded. Qin Yun quickly transformed Xie Wufeng's primordial spirit thread into a chi-gathering mark. Then, 2 cyclones formed from spirit energy appeared in the air above them. All of the spirit energy within 10,000 meters of the valley had been drawn over by them. Huo Zhang smiled and said, "Our power-storing beads are the most colorful right now." It was originally transparent, but now a hazy white fog began to appear. It was no longer transparent. Mu Rong Darren also laughed loudly. "Big brother Wufeng, Qin Yun, you two are really capable. We will definitely pass the first round." The experts watching the assessment were all moved. The speed at which chi was being channeled into the chi-gathering mark was terrifying. The funny thing was, there were many martial body level 9 martial artists here who could not cultivate to the immortal soul stage. Duan Gan laughed. "Duke of Yan, I think the results of this assessment are already very clear." The Duke of Yan and Master Wei's expressions were ugly to the extreme. If they lost, they would die. In a wooden house on the other side, Zhou Chuan, dressed in a red robe, chuckled and said, "Old Hu, this Xie Wufeng is also a monstrous fellow." Hu Xingfeng nodded and said, "Both he and Qin Yun are very hard-working people. Du Gui told me before that Xie Wufeng's inner energy is extremely terrifying and the power contained within it is comparable to the strength of a martial body level 8. Zhou Chuan's expression slightly changed. What exactly is going on? It's actually this terrifying. Hu Xingfeng shook his head. He didn't know either. Below, the people from the other teams felt uncomfortable when they saw Qin Yun and company's strength-restoring beads being infused with inner strength. They had thought that Xie Wufeng and the others would fail this round of examination, but now they were faster than them. There was still half of the incense stick left. Amongst the 10 crystal pearls, the one with the densest white mist was Qin Yun and company. Without a doubt, they were in the lead. Above their heads, there were 2 spiritual energy cyclones visible to the naked eye. They were the most shocking because even a person with 7 spiritual veins would find it difficult to absorb spiritual energy like this. This kind of test is indeed very targeted at us. If we didn't train our origin souls, we would never be able to complete it. Xie Wufeng said with a cold smile. He could finally be at ease now. A yellow-clothed middle-aged man came to Dien Bai's side. He was the teacher of Tianzan Martial Arts Academy, Lu Ning. When Qin Yun saw Lu Ning, he knew that nothing good had happened. Sure enough, Lu Ning's face was filled with a cold smile as he said, "After filling up your inner force, you still need to test the strength of your stored energy. This test, I will carry it out. Qin Yun, there's no guarantee that the temporary absorption of spiritual energy will result in an increase in the strength of your stored energy. Perhaps the energy within this strength-storing bead of yours will not have much strength." Upon hearing his words, Master Wei and Duke Yan, who were above them, heaved a sigh of relief. Lu Ning was rather familiar with them. Furthermore, he hated Qin Yun greatly and would definitely not go easy on him. Qin Yun asked, "How do we test the strength of the strength-storing pearls?" Lu Ning smiled sinisterly and said, "If the strength-restoring bead is filled with a very strong inner energy, it will become very bloated and cannot withstand shock. With just a light palm, it can shatter the strength-storing bead. So, when the time comes, I will go and hit the power-storing orb with 3 palms. If none of the palm strikes are able to break the strength-storing bead, then it's just that the energy stored is not up to standard." Quote. Xie Wufeng's face darkened and he said softly, "What if you don't use your full strength? Moreover, if you break the strength-restoring bead, you will also be injured. This test seems to be unfair. I am a martial artist at the 9th level of the martial body realm. I will protect myself. Don't worry about me." Lu Ning smiled and said, "I guarantee that it will be a fair test. With so many powerful people here watching, I wouldn't dare to lie to them." Seeing him smile so treacherously, they knew he was going to do it. Qin Yun's heart stirred as he released a large amount of vibrating inner strength into the strength-storing pearl. Following that, he released an unending stream of mental energy into the pearl as well. Xie Wufeng noticed that Qin Yun's face was somewhat pale. It looked like he had overexerted himself, but he did not ask any questions. Qin Yun had indeed used too much strength because he was frantically injecting both his inner strength and mind energy into the strength-storing pearl. After the first incense stick had burned down, only 5 of the 10 strength-storing pearls were pure white. The other 5 were thin, meaning that the 5 teams were unable to pass this round of examination. Chapter 152 Gigantic Thunderstorm Bear. Chapter 152 Gigantic Thunderstorm Bear. The 5 failed teams all walked to the side of the training field in frustration, waiting for their families to come pick them up. Dien Bai shouted, "Let's begin the test to determine the strength of stored energy." He took the 4 large strength-restoring pearls and placed them behind him, leaving only 1 pearl in the middle of the training field for Lu Ning to test its strength. Qin Yun sneered in his heart. Wasn't the reason why they refused to allow Dien Bai to test him because he isn't allowed to temper with test? Lu Ning stood beside the 2-meter-long strength-storing bead and released a shield. Then, he threw out a powerful palm attack. Boom! The strength-storing pearl exploded and a violent wind surged out, engulfing the entire valley. Anyone who was close to the bead was blown away by the wind. Lu Ning shouted, "Team 2 has passed. Now, let's begin the test for the 6th team." Dien Bai carefully lifted 1 strength-storing bead and placed it in the middle of the training field. Then, he quickly retreated to protect the other 3 strength-storing beads from the shockwave. Just like before, Lu Ning released his protective barrier and started attacking. This time, he had to use 3 punches before the bead exploded. 6th team, qualified. Bring 7th team's bead down there. Following that, Teams 7 and 9 qualified. Qin Yun and company were in 10th team. Finally, it was Qin Yun's 10th team's turn. Everyone was in high spirits. Yang Shiyu frowned as she looked and coldly said, Lu Ning has a grudge with Qin Yun, yet he was the one to test him. This is clearly unfair. Duan Qian's face was also filled with anger. How did this happen? Look at Lu Ning, he did not even use the protective barrier and is obviously trying to do something. Quote. Master Wei said with a laugh, Lu Ning is a good teacher, so all of you have to trust him. When the Duke of Yan saw that Lu Ning was present, he knew that Qin Yun and company would not be able to pass. He smiled and said, we can completely trust Lu Ning. After all, these are the 3 Zon-level martial academies in the Hall of Marking. Why do you suspect him? Beside the training field, Mu Rongdaran and the others were gnashing their teeth in anger. Huo Zhang gritted his teeth and cursed in a low voice, I'm going to kill this bastard. It's clear that he won't let us pass. If you don't let us pass, I'll dig out your ancestral grave. Qin Yun was expressionless as he watched Lu Ning attack. Lu Ning struck out with his palm and it seemed like it was very strong. When he came into contact with the strength-storing bead, there was a crisp sound of his palm hitting it. However, the bead did not explode. I struck so hard but it still didn't explode. I already said that the inner strength of their strength storage bead was not strong enough, so I didn't even use shield. Lu Ning smiled complacently and then struck down with his palm. TL note. Idiot so close to death and doesn't know it. The second palm, still no signs of movement. Everyone began to discuss and they all thought that Lu Ning was right. This method of quickly absorbing spiritual energy made the inner strength very low. Qin Yun and Xie Wufeng believed that Lu Ning had cleverly retracted her strength when he struck out. Although it looked like he had struck with great force, he had only actually gave it a slight bump. Lu Ning laughed, the third palm, I will use even more strength. Sure enough, Lu Ning continued with great strength. When his palm shot out, a complacent smile was plastered on his face. This time, the strength-restoring orb actually shook and then suddenly exploded. Boom! This sound was even louder than the previous ones. The power unleashed by the strength-storing pearl was even more terrifying. Qin Yun and the rest of the students were at the side of the training grounds. They were blown to the edge of the valley and crashed into a mountain wall. The giant mountain around the valley shook even more and a lot of rocks fell from the sky. The huge stone floor in the middle of the training field exploded into pieces. With this explosion, the entire valley was in a complete mess. The houses that the students lived in were all torn to pieces by the violent internal energy waves. Even the wooden house that was just built halfway up the mountain had been destroyed after being destroyed by the shockwave. TL note. Get wrecked bitch. Lu Ning. Guo Cheng flew down from the mountainside, looking for Lu Ning. He saw a bloodied person sticking to a mountain wall, slowly sliding down. Dean Bai was in the martial Dao realm, so he was fine. He flew to Lu Ning's side and checked. He frowned and said, he's dead. Lu Ning died. Everyone was shocked. He was a teacher of the Tianzan martial school, yet he died just like that. Murong Daran, Huo Zhang and Xie Wufeng were filled with admiration for Qin Yun. Although they did not know how Qin Yun operated the weapon, they were certain that Qin Yun had done it. Guo Cheng looked angrily in Qin Yun's direction. He wanted to say something but he did not speak. This was all Lu Ning's fault. When he was bombarding the pearl, he thought that it would not explode, nor did he release his shield. However, it exploded later on and its power was extremely terrifying. Lu Ning was killed by the shockwave before he could even defend against it. Dean Bai announced loudly, the first round of the assessment has ended. Squad 2, Team 6, Team 7, Team 9 and Team 10 have passed the first round of examination. Rest for 2 hours and begin the second round. Yang Shiyu smiled coldly, looked at Master Wei whose face was ashen and said coldly, you've lost 25,000 purple coins, quickly hand it over. The Duke of Yan's face paled as he lost and his entire body trembled. He muttered, impossible, impossible, this is impossible. How could the 4 of them fill up such a large strength-storing pearl? Quote. Duan Qian laughed, Quickly take out 25,000 purple coins and give it to me. If you owe me a debt, I will take your old life. With Yang Shiyu and Duan gone here, there was no way for Yanguo and Master Wei to escape, so they could only give out the purple coins with heartache. Xie Wufeng smiled and patted Qin Yun on the shoulder. He said, Lu Ning is courting death. There's no need to put it to heart. Qin Yun chuckled lightly. Just now, he had injected a large amount of vibrating energy and mental energy into the strength-storing pearl. As a result, under the control of his will, it could cause the inner force to shake up, erupt with strong power and detonate the storage bead that was full of inner strength. This kind of power was even more powerful than if it were directly blown up. Guo Cheng carried Lu Ning's corpse and flew up in anger. He naturally knew that this matter wasn't that simple, but he couldn't say it out loud because it was Lu Ning who did it first. Dean Bai announced loudly, the second round of the assessment is the Class 8 magical beast that attacked the Blue Spirit Star Palace, the violent thunderstorm gigantic bear. One could use weapons, not fly and not climb the walls. You need to strike the thunderstorm bear 10 times and then you need to endure for an hour. Also, within 1 hour, you cannot let any member die or else you will be deemed as having failed. He could use weapons. When Qin Yun heard that, he revealed a look of joy and said with a smile, it's good that I can use a weapon. Huo Zhang took out his big stick and said with a grin, my stick can finally be used. This examination shouldn't be too difficult. Xie Wufeng nodded his head, as long as it's fair. With our strength, it won't be a big problem for us to hit a Class 8 magical beast 10 times. To avoid the thunderstorm bear in the valley for an hour and prevent any member from dying, is not a problem. Quote. The other squads were thinking the same thing. Just when they thought that this round of the examination would be easy, a few roars suddenly rang out. 2 white, 3-meter-tall, giant thunder bears slowly walked into the valley from the entrance. Unexpectedly, there were 2 bears, causing the mood of the students to immediately turn heavy. Chapter 153 Beast Going Berserk. Chapter 153 Beast Going Berserk. If it were only one giant thunderstorm bear, then it wouldn't be difficult to deal with. After all, the valley was so big and it was easy to hide from one giant bear. The thunderstorm bear was a rank 8 beast and its strength was equivalent to a martial artist at the 8th level of the martial body realm. Qin Yun said, Brother Xie, this shouldn't have much of an impact on us, right? We have less people, so it'll be easier for us to spread out. The other teams have more people, it'll be easier for them to encounter casualties. As long as they hit the bears 10 times and lasted for an hour and not die within that hour, they would be able to pass the examination. It wasn't convenient to say it was easy, but it wasn't also too difficult. Xie Wufeng was still thinking about the plan, then he said, when the time comes, we'll split into 2 groups. Murong and me, Qin Yun and Old Huo, we'll deal with 1 bear each. Mu Rong Jun said with a smile, we have an advantage even if we have less people. With so many of them, 2 giant bears might just run around randomly and kill 1 or 2 of them. Qin Yun and company nodded as they agreed with Xie Wufeng's tactics. After resting, a small team went on stage. The teams that didn't go on stage were all staying at the entrance of a large cave with Dean Bai. It was also very safe to watch the battle here. There were 15 people in the group and they all brought out a variety of weapons. For example, whips and long sticks. They didn't need to get too close to the giant bear to intentionally achieve their goals. Huo Zhang smiled, I also have a stick. It'll be much easier to fight then. The 2 thunderstorm bears had large spirit talismans stuck to their bodies. When Murong Darren saw them, he asked, what's that? Qin Yun said, it's a Beastmaster glyph array. It covers a beast's back and can make it more tame. Refining such a glyph array requires a strong amount of mental energy. Even the current me is unable to refine it. Brother Yun, your mental strength is very strong now, but you're actually unable to refine it. It seems like the person who refined this kind of array glyph is very strong. Huo Zhang was surprised. After the array glyphs on the 2 giant bears were removed, they immediately became extremely violent. The elders on the backs of the bears also started to float into the air. At this moment, the second round of examination had already begun. The huge thunderstorm bear was very fierce and it had a heavy killing intent. It was not like those docile demon beasts. If it gradually got injured, sooner or later, it would become a vicious beast. Roar! A thunderstorm bear roared, opened its mouth and spat out a beam of lightning. With a powerful force, the beam swept through the students. They couldn't fly and they couldn't climb the walls. It was extremely difficult for them to dodge the lightning and fire that were gushing towards them. Just from the start, that group of students had already fallen into an extremely dangerous predicament. This valley is a beast battle arena. A student sighed inside the cave. Let alone 2 thunderstorm bear, even if it was just one of them, it wouldn't be easy to deal with. Fortunately, we weren't the first ones up there, otherwise we would have been caught off guard. These guys from Team 2 won't be able to hold on for long. Dean Bai shouted to the students running around the valley, if you can't persevere, you can choose to give up. Don't lose your life over this. Qin Yun and company had solemn expressions. That was because the colossal thunderstorm bear was stronger than they had imagined. It was able to constantly spew out thunder and fire, and its movements were very agile. Follow the tactics we agreed upon earlier, Xie Wufeng said solemnly. In the valley, after the dozen students had scurried for less than an hour, they gradually familiarized themselves with the violent thunder bear's attacks and began to cooperate. Some of them were responsible for attracting the attention of the giant bear, while others were responsible for attacking. Their tactics had caught the attention of Xie Wufeng and the others. They were able to provide them with a certain amount of experience. Team 2's tactics had quite a good effect. After a portion of them successfully drew the attention of the colossal thunder bear, the others quickly rushed over and fiercely attacked the colossal thunder bear. Upon seeing this, Dean Bai hurriedly shouted, Team 2 finished attacking the thunderstorm bear 10 times. There is still half of the time left. The hourglass was at his feet and half the sand was still there. That round of fierce attacks from before had caused Team 2 to complete their attack in an instant. As long as they were able to hold on for an hour, they would pass. Xie Wufeng, don't even think of borrowing this tactic. That's because they have more people and you only have 4. One of the captains smiled and said, it will be of some help to us. The captain was right, but Xie Wufeng and Qin Yun felt that there was something they could learn from this. The violent thunderstorm bear in the valley became even more ferocious as it let out waves of furious roars. It was extremely terrifying. What was even more frightening was that the thunderstorm bear's leather armor, which was originally white, was now gradually turning gray. Not good, the thunderstorm gigantic bear is turning into a vicious beast. Dean Bai frowned. An old man from the Blue Spirit Star Palace flew in from the sky. He said, continue with the assessment. The transformation will not affect the assessment at all. The students cursed silently in their hearts. Demonic beasts were the most terrifying creatures in the world. At this moment, the thunderstorm bear was incomparably savage, constantly crashing around randomly, and even the mountain was shaking from the collision. The students of Squad 2 were also trembling in fear as they ran all over the place. Ah! A student was suddenly hit by a thunderstorm bear and his body was immediately set ablaze. When everyone saw this, they sucked in a breath of cold air. They were certain that this student was dead for sure. Indeed, the colossal thunder bear charged over and with a single palm, smashed the student who was covered in fire into pieces. Team 2 failed. Dean Bai and a few elders hastily flew out, throwing out a rope to pick up the students in the valley. One person dead means failure, all the effort lost. Qin Yun sighed slightly. The assessment was indeed difficult. Without sufficient strength, it was impossible to pass. 6th team, it's your turn. Upon his return, Dean Bai looked at the students of the 6th team and said, if you decide to participate in this round of the examination, you will have to leave the cave. The members of Team 6 suddenly hesitated. Clearly, they had been scared witless by the vicious thunderstorm bears. We forfeit. The captain of the 6th team made a decision. All right, Team 7, what about you? Dean Bai looked at the 7 teams. Team 7 decisively left the cave and charged toward the 2 colossal thunderstorm bears. They had also decided on a strategy, so from the very beginning, they would delay until the very last moment to attack. This was because even if they were to complete 10 attacks in the beginning, they might not necessarily be able to pass the examination. If, like Team 2 just now, someone were to be killed, it would mean that they would have failed. Thus, They had to protect their own lives from the very beginning. There was also a very good teamwork between them. For example, when they saw their teammates being chased by the thunderstorm bear, the nearby teammates would all go over and attract the attention of the thunderstorm bear or throw rocks to lure it away. This prevents teammates from being chased too closely. Chapter 154 Scheming Everywhere. Chapter 154 Scheming Everywhere. Qin Yun looked at the 7th team in the valley and nodded inwardly. These 13 people were doing very well. Their overall quality was very high and they could handle the Class 8 thunderstorm bear with ease. If this continues, they should be able to pass this round. Mu Rong Darren said, 7th team, have always been quite strong. I remember that they are going to enter the Lin Xuanwu Academy. Huo Zhang took out his long rod and wiped it clean. He said, if it's time for us to go on stage, it might be a bit easier. Qin Yun's team would be fighting in the final match. When the time came, the thunderstorm bear's stamina would definitely be depleted. It might even be injured. The colossal thunderstorm bears that they faced would definitely not be in a good condition. To them, this was indeed a good thing. After all, there were only 4 of them. Facing the colossal thunderstorm bears that were in an extremely poor state, it could be said to be fair. This made the other teams extremely unhappy, as if they were giving someone else a hand. An hour would soon pass and there was still a bit of time left. At this time, Team 7's captain began to command and coordinate, carrying out the final attack. Their attacking style was the same as the previous team. One part attracted the giant thunderstorm bears while the other part attacked ferociously. Even if the few of them were to launch a fierce attack, they would only be able to hit it 10 times in an instant. 7th team, completed 10 attacks. Dean Bai shouted, time's up. The 7th team has passed the examination. It had to be said that the performance of Team 7 caused all the students to praise them one after another. Their teamwork was pretty good and their timing was just right. After the students of the 7th team were brought back, their faces were filled with pride, especially when they looked at the 2nd and 6th team, their eyes were filled with disdain. Team 2 was still better off. At least they went up, but Team 6 didn't dare to go up. The next teams to go up after 7's success was 9, so they also drew on the tactics of the 7 team. Although the 7 team despised them, they didn't care as long as they could pass the test safely. There are 16 people in Team 9. If they are unable to even draw lessons from our tactics, then it can only mean that they are too useless. A student from Team 7 said. Squad 7's captain's thin face was full of pride as he said, we've just used up a lot of our stamina on the thunderstorm bear, so we were sure to be injured when we attacked. Note. I think the retard is gloating that they could get injured but they did not. He looked at Xie Wufeng and the others and mocked, you only have 4 people and don't have any tactics to draw lessons from, so you should just give up like Team 6. No one will laugh at you. Xie Wufeng simply smiled and said, don't worry, we will be taking the 3rd round of the assessment with you. Huo Zhang took out a few 3-meter-long sticks and distributed them to Qin Yun and company. He smiled and said, this way, you will be able to attack the colossal thunderstorm bear without getting too close. It would be better if we could use a whip. Dean Bai, if my hammer were to fly out and hit it, would that count? Qin Yun asked. It can't be counted. The weapon must be in hand. He was also secretly worried about this 4-man team from the bottom of his heart. It didn't matter if they couldn't pass the examination. Their death was what he feared the most. Soon, an hour had passed. The 9th team had used 7th team's tactics to pass the exam. It's our turn, let's go. Just as Xie Wufeng was about to leave, a blue-robed elder from Blue Spirit Star Palace suddenly flew over and shouted, the last team is not allowed to use weapons. Why? Xie Wufeng asked angrily. The blue-robed old man said coldly, because the 2 thunderstorm bears are physically weak and injured, they are not in a good condition. In order to ensure absolute fairness, you are forbidden to use weapons. How about this, your exams are just as difficult as the other teams. Team 7's captain laughed heartily. That's right, I agree. Team 9's captain also nodded in support. As for Qin Yun and the others, they looked furious. Dean Bai, Qin Yun expressed his dissatisfaction with the sudden change in the rules. The blue-robed old man sternly said, if you don't agree, then we will revoke your qualifications. Our request is reasonable. Let's go, Xie Wufeng said expressionlessly. Qin Yun and company could only walk out and face the colossal thunderstorm bear. This bunch from Blue Spirit Star Palace is obviously deliberately making things difficult for Qin Yun and company. Duan Qian, who was watching from halfway up the mountain, said furiously. They can't use anything, this is too difficult. Yang Shiyu revealed a face of worry, gently sighing, I hope they will all be fine. Are you sure? It's already good that they're not dead. These two giant thunderstorm bears are very good beast pets of the Blue Spirit Star Palace. Master Wei said with a sneer, because they entered a berserk state due to severe injury, they became vicious. In time, they will gradually change back. Don't you see how injured it is? Otherwise a martial artist at the 8th level of the martial body might not be able to kill them. When Qin Yun walked into the valley, he saw that there were many people watching him from the surrounding mountains. His eyesight was very good and immediately came at a stop on Yang Shiyu, who was dressed in a blue dress, stood tall and elegant on a boulder with a cool expression. When Yang Shiyu saw Qin Yun, she smiled and nodded at him. Roar! Seeing that someone had appeared, the violent thunderstorm bear roared furiously and charged forward. Qin Yun, use the rocks from the surrounding mountains. As long as you control it well, killing the giant bear will not be a problem. Xie Wufeng suddenly said solemnly. Mu Rong Darren waved his sleeves and unleashed his qi, hitting the thunder bear in the eye and knocking it away. Xie Wufeng and Murong Darren went to deal with one of the bears. Huo Zhang picked up a large stone and threw it with all his might. It ruthlessly smashed onto the head of other bear and lured it away as well. It was just the beginning, but the valley had already become extremely intense. Especially Xie Wufeng and Mu Rong Darren, they were already able to unleash terrifying attacks from far away. It was just a few moves, but they had already blinded their giant thunderstorm bear. This infuriated those from Blue Spirit Star Palace. As for Qin Yun, he also used explosive qi to carry out a long-range attack. He ran and stopped and specially struck the head of the colossal thunderstorm bear. The colossal bear roared repeatedly as it turned even angrier and spewed lightning fire. Third brother Huo, I will find a chance to attack the mountain wall and try to knock down a giant rock. When the time comes, you can use the giant rock as a weapon to smash the giant bear. Since the Blue Spirit Star Palace is deliberately making things difficult for us, then they should forget about those two giant thunderstorm bears either. Qin Yun said solemnly to Huo Zhang. When Huo Zhang heard that, he immediately became excited and said happily, all right, I'll listen to you. We'll kill those two giant bears. On Xie Wufeng's side, he was also thinking about how he should kill the bear. Although they could all attack the giant lightning bear from afar, they did not attack it from a close distance, so the attacks did not count. Seeing the situation, everyone knew that these 4 people would not die or be injured. They were all very powerful and each of them had excellent overall qualities. Now, it was time to see how they could get close and attack the giant bears 10 times. When Qin Yun saw that the colossal thunderstorm bear was slowing down, he said to Huo Zhang, third brother Hu, delay the bear first. I'll go get the boulder. Chapter 155 Fighting with Dragon Claw. Chapter 155 Fighting with Dragon Claw. Huo Zhang sent out a surge of inner strength through the air and struck the leg of the thunderstorm bear. The giant bear was in so much pain that it let out an explosive roar. Waves of thunderous fire spewed out from its mouth before it charged towards Huo Zhang with a furious roar. Squad 7's leader gritted his teeth and said, Dean Bai, isn't it against the rules to attack the colossal thunderstorm bear from a distance like this? Dean Bai replied, not really. But this move is not suitable for a large number of people because if the thunderstorm bear gets angry, it will randomly attack, and since you guys have too many people, it is very easy to get hit if you fail to spread out. Quote. Also, it was not easy to control the thunderstorm bear after it had been blinded. The eyes of the 2 thunderstorm bears on the field were wounded, like flies flying about, like they had gone mad. Master Wei hurriedly shouted when he saw Qin Yun had arrived beside the mountain wall. What is Qin Yun planning to do? Everyone immediately looked at Qin Yun as his palms condensed 2 powerful forces of energy that pushed against the mountain wall. Yang Shiyu said in a low voice, it's the 10,000 horse palms. And there's even the Hanshin stance. Indeed, Qin Yun combined the 10,000 horse palm and used the Hanshin stance on the mountain wall. He infused a very powerful force into the mountain wall, and it was even continuously infused with the power of vibration. He even secretly used the tsunami technique and used his vibrating inner force to create 3 shockwaves to attack the mountain wall. Zhou Chuan said in surprise, the Hanshin style. Such a difficult martial art, yet he learned it at such a young age, and he even used the power of Hanshin. Hu Xingfeng narrowed his eyes and said in shock, he seems to have even used the tsunami technique. He can actually gather multiple martial arts techniques and use them together. With Qin Yun's strike, the earth immediately shook and the mountains began to shake. The gigantic mountain began to shake violently as cracks and tears appeared on the mountain walls and boulders began to fall. He was also submerged in the falling rocks. When everyone saw this, they could not help but mock Qin Yun and thought he smashed himself. Just as everyone thought that Qin Yun had been injured by the boulder pile suddenly moved. Following a loud boom, a rock exploded. Qin Yun flew out from inside. Old Huo, come pick a rock. Qin Yun shouted as he charged at the thunderstorm bear. He sent out a stream of Vajra inner strength that struck the bear's leg. After the colossal thunderstorm bear's leg was hit, a piece of the black armor was knocked off. The bear's leg was injured, and its speed became even slower. Qin Yun continued to contend with the thunderstorm bear, helping Huo Zhang gain time. When Huo Zhang arrived at the pile of rubble, he immediately lifted the huge rock that was over 20 meters long and 10 meters wide. His brute force caused everyone present to be moved. Now, everyone could see that Huo Zhang wanted to use a boulder to smash the colossal thunder bear. Qin Yun directed the thunderstorm bear towards Huo Zhang and shouted, "Throw it over. Throw it right now." "All right," Huo Zhang shouted and threw the huge rock. Everyone could not help but be alarmed when they saw a rock fly. Someone shouted, "Aren't you afraid of smashing Qin Yun to death?" Just as he finished speaking, he saw Qin Yun flash as he instantly traversed dozens of meters. The stone also landed on the colossal thunder bear's body. Boom! As the boulder fell, it immediately shattered. The entire valley also began to fiercely shake. At the same time, Xie Wufeng and Mu Rong Daren's side also made a lot of noise. A huge rock fell from the mountain wall and landed on the colossal thunderstorm bear, who was near the mountain wall. 2 of the giant thunderstorm bears were now hit by the boulder. There was a period of silence in the valley. Qin Yun and his 4-man team had cleverly used the arena to severely injure the thunderstorm bear. Roar! The roar of a bear suddenly shook the air. The giant boulder that was pressing down was actually shattered. The colossal thunderstorm bear charged out, its body filled with violent lightning bolts. Even though it was covered in wounds, its power did not diminish at all. Roar! Xie Wufeng and Murong Daren's thunderstorm bears also broke through the rocks and ran out. They were so angry that they spewed lightning bolts as they charged towards Murong Daren. An old man from the Blue Spirit Star Palace laughed coldly on the mountainside. "This is a rank 8 demonic beast, how can it be suppressed with a few stones? You are all too naive. Now that the giant bear has been completely enraged, if you all approach it, you will definitely be severely injured." Quote. Huo Zhang immediately lifted a huge rock that was more than 10 meters long and smashed it towards the incoming thunderstorm bear. The colossal thunderstorm bear spat out a bolt of lightning towards the huge rock, shattering it into many small stones. The enraged thunderstorm bear was not as clumsy as it was before. It seemed to have suddenly gained intelligence. "Look up there, it's those 2 old men from before. What are they doing up there?" Mu Rong Jun shouted. After dodging the thunderstorm bear's lightning strikes, Qin Yun looked up and saw 2 old men from Blue Spirit Star Palace floating cross-legged above the valley. They're the ones who brought the colossal thunderstorm bears. They should be communicating with the colossal thunderstorm bears and using this method to control the bears. Xie Wufeng's face was also filled with anger. This is too much. The thunderstorm bears aren't in a good condition, it was also beaten up before you began. The reason we are doing this now is also to make up for the advantages you have previously obtained. An old man from the Blue Spirit Star Palace sneered. HMPH, your mouths are on your butts. You can fart however you want. Mu Rong Jun said angrily, "You old things, remember this." Xie Wufeng said to Qin Yun, "No matter what, we must kill the thunderstorm bears. Qin Yun looked at Huo Zhang and asked coldly, "Third brother Huo, do you have any means to make the colossal thunderstorm bear immobile for a short period of time?" "Yes, leave it to me." After Huo Zhang said this, he rushed towards the giant bear like a bull. A pale golden mist suddenly appeared on the surface of his body, as if it was an air shield. The colossal thunder bear roared and spat out a bolt of lightning towards Huo Zhang. Boom! After the lightning and fire hit Huo Zhang, they were repelled by the golden barrier on the surface of his body. Everyone was secretly amazed. They did not know what martial skill he used. Gargantuan elephant skill. Zhou Chuan's pupils slightly contracted as he said in surprise. It's that kind of cultivation technique that can create a huge illusion. Hu Xingfeng was also very surprised. I thought this cultivation technique was extinct. Huo Zhang dashed past the thunderstorm bear and the golden shield around him suddenly grew in size, turning into a light golden mirage that was a few meters tall. This illusion was formed from a very strong Vajra inner strength. Under Huo Zhang's control, the illusion made a groping motion and tightly hugged the colossal thunder bear. The thunderstorm bear was roaring furiously, struggling non-stop. However, it was unable to break free from the entanglement of the golden-colored illusion. "Brother Yun, quick!" Huo Zhang hastily shouted. Qin Yun rushed over and leapt up. One of his arms transformed into a gigantic lion claw. The claws were more than a meter long. What kind of cultivation technique is that? It must be beast martial arts. Duan Qian was extremely shocked as he looked towards Yang Xiyu. Yang Xiyu shook her head and said, "I've never seen him use this martial skill." Qin Yun used the Heaven Lion's fighting dragon claw and produced a terrifying pale golden lion claw. Using the 6 forms of wind slasher fist, he attacked the thunderstorm bear. Chapter 156 Bear Butchering. Chapter 156 Bear Butchering. The wind-slaying art was quite famous and many people could recognize it. However, this was the first time they had ever seen the 6-style wind-slaying fist technique using the claws of a beast. They were all extremely shocked. Qin Yun was incensed. The Blue Spirit Star Palace had made things difficult for them time and time again, greatly increasing the difficulty of their exams. They were obviously trying to bully them. Go to hell. Anger flared in his heart as he executed the 6-style wind-slaying art. Sensing that something was wrong, an elder in the air hurriedly shouted, "Stop!" However, he had already unleashed the 6-style wind-slaying art. 4 extremely sharp claws slashed through the air, landing on the colossal thunder bear's body. Crash! The raging thunderstorm bear's tough outer armor had been easily sliced through. Black blood flowed out of the wound like a wave. Everyone was immediately shocked. In just a few seconds, a large number of deep bloody wounds appeared on the body of the thunderstorm bear. "Stop!" Qin Yun ignored the voice and used the 6-style wind slayer art once again. He slashed ruthlessly at the body of the severely injured thunderstorm bear, causing the giant bear's fresh blood to splash out. When the old man landed on the ground, the bear had already been torn into many pieces by the heavenly lion's fighting dragon claw. Looking at those pieces of flesh on the ground, everyone couldn't help but shiver. Although he could not use a weapon, the lion claw Qin Yun used was as terrifying as a weapon. It was as sharp as 4 blades. On the other side, the other enraged thunderstorm bear was tied up with golden energy threads by Murong Daren, making it hard for it to move. Xie Wufeng agilely jumped over. A white light appeared in his palm, followed by a cold sword chi that overflowed. He then slammed his palm down on the head of the thunderstorm bear and the white sword chi stabbed into the head of the bear as well. The thunderstorm bear that was struggling and roaring suddenly quieted down before falling to the ground. Murong Jun rushed over and punched the thunderstorm bear 10 times. Seeing the 2 giant bears fall, Dinbai was also surprised. He shouted, "10th team, finished with 10 attacks." There was still a small part of the hourglass at his feet that had yet to be emptied out, but the 2 thunderstorm bears in the valley had already died. Qin Yun's face was spattered with blood as he looked coldly at the angry elder. He said with a sneer, "Sorry, your thunderstorm bear is too weak. I was careless and killed it. I'm truly sorry." These 2 Class 8 demonic beasts were not weak at all, but they were still killed. One of them was even cut into pieces. Dinbai rushed over to prevent the Blue Spirit Star Palace from making a move. You guys remember this. The old man was very angry as he put away the colossal thunderstorm bear's corpse. You guys should remember this. You dare to make things difficult for us for the assessment, I will remember this debt. One day, I, Xie Wufeng, will make you pay 10 times the price. Xie Wufeng said in a cold voice. He released a majestic sword aura that was accompanied by a strong killing intent. It filled the air above the valley, causing many martial Dao realm experts to feel fear. The old man couldn't say anything. He was a martial artist at the 9th level of the martial body. Yet, he was scared by Xie Wufeng. Scram! Xie Wufeng shouted angrily as a cold glint flashed past his eyes. His oppressive sword might even cause the stones on the ground to tremble. Qin Yun was secretly alarmed. Xie Wufeng had actually concealed such a terrifying power. It must be because of his extreme anger that he was unable to suppress it. The elder of Blue Spirit Star Palace hurriedly left in fright. The churning clouds above the valley also gradually calmed down. Zhou Chuan took a few deep breaths and said in surprise, Xie Wufeng is indeed terrifying. How did he manage to cultivate such a sword force? It seems like he's a sword fanatic. Hu Xingfeng frowned and said, I really misjudged him at that time. With his strength, we could definitely make an exception and accept him. It's just as shocking as Qin Yun. Quote. Yang Xiyu also heaved a sigh of relief. The lion claw Qin Yun had released earlier had surprised her today. She was very familiar with martial arts and could tell that the lion claw was not an ordinary martial arts. Dean Bai said loudly, 7th team, 9th team, 10th team, passed this round assessment. We will begin the 3rd round. In the 3rd round of the exam, the Tianzan Martial School, the Star Zanwu Academy and the Ling Zanwu Academy will send out 2 martial artists at the 7th level of the martial body realm to compete with the other teams. Each team will be able to pass the test by defeating the 2 fighters assigned to them. The time limit is 2 hours. When Qin Yun heard this, he knew that the assessment was extremely disadvantageous for them. You can rest for 2 hours before you begin the 3rd round of the assessment. Dean Bai said. During the break, someone came to the middle of the valley to build a battling platform. They cut a huge rock into huge bricks and then spread them out in the middle of the valley to form a huge square stage that was over 100 meters wide. Dean Bai also took the opportunity to explain the rules to the students. After hearing the rules, Qin Yun felt extremely vexed. The 4 of them were at the 6th level of the martial body. If they wanted to deal with 2 7th level of the martial body, it could be said that they had no advantage over the other teams. There are 2 ways. The first is for your entire team to go up on the stage and fight against 2 martial artists who were at the 7th level of the martial body realm. Defeat this martial artist at the 7th level in 2 hours. The second method is for all of you to take turns going up and compete with one opponent. If you can't beat the opponent, come down and then send someone else up to fight. This method will consume the opponent's inner strength. Only by winning can you pass the examination. Thus, even if you fight evenly, it would be useless. After Xie Wufeng heard this, he said, let's choose the second method, use the revolving method to fight the 7th stage martial artists. Brother Yun, it's the same as before. Let's split up. I'll fight with second brother Murong and you fight with third brother Huo. All right, Qin Yun said with a nod. There were only 4 of them. If they were to fight 4 against 2 on the dueling platform, their chances of victory would not be very high. At this time, the other teams were also discussing tactics. 2 hours passed quickly and the people of the 7th team decided to participate in the group battle. More than 10 people stood on the battling platform. The 2 people fighting against them were at the 7th level. They were both middle-aged men from the Star Zanwu Academy. Begin! Dean Bai shouted. From the very beginning, the battling platform was in chaos. Over 10 of the 6th layer students surrounded and attacked the 2 7th stage middle-aged men. They couldn't use weapons either, so they all released waves of inner strength from afar. All kinds of different colored inner strength surged toward the 2 middle-aged men who were at the 7th level of the martial body realm. Waves of air burst out. Xie Wufeng said, the strength of the martial artists in the Star Zanwu Academy is truly not bad. Being attacked in such a manner and yet being able to remain so calm, they have yet to attack. Quote. Huo Zhang shouted, it's starting. The two 7th level martial body martial artists planned to attack together, so the palm techniques they executed were the same. Many huge palm shadows suddenly appeared like rolling black clouds as they churned over and over, forcing back the students of the 7th team. Some of them were also sent flying off the battling platform. As long as more than half the participants were on the battling platform, they wouldn't lose. Not long after, the other students on stage were also sent flying by the palm shadows. The 7th team with pretty good strength had actually failed this round of assessment. Chapter 157 Yukai. Chapter 157 Yukai. 7th team, failure. 9th team, go up. Dean Bai shouted. When the 9th team came on stage, they chose the method of rotation. The two cultivators who were fighting against the 9th team came from the Lin Zhongwu Academy and they were also middle-aged. One of them jumped onto the stage lightly. The 9th team had 16 people. After they had finished discussing, they sent one of their members up to compete with that 7th stage martial artist. This team member's strength wasn't bad. After holding on for a few dozen moves, he ran down from the stage and switched people. The people who went up came down after a few more rounds. Like this, an hour passed and the 7th stage martial artist was finally defeated. However, they couldn't bring themselves to be happy because there was still another 7th level martial artist waiting for them to finish. The 7th team from before were filled with regret. They felt that if they were to compete in this manner, it was extremely likely that they would pass the examination. An hour later, at the most critical moment, the 9th team managed to knock the 7th level martial artist off the battling platform and passed the 3rd round of the examination. The people of the 9th group were cheering wildly. They had successfully passed the 3 rounds of examination and could finally enter the Tianzan Martial School. Only the 10th team could be seen waiting to go on stage. Qin Yun's 4-man team faced a 7th level martial artist from the Tianchuan Martial Arts Academy. Xie Wufeng said, "First, Murong and I will take down one and the rest will be up to you and old third Huo. Murong, you go first." Mu Rongjun had already walked up to the stage. On the side of the Tianzan Martial School, there was a middle-aged man dressed in black. In this sort of competition, death or injury was permitted, so one had to be extremely careful. Mu Rongdaren's movement technique was really good and he was also good at long-range inner strength attacks. Right now, he didn't approach his opponent but was always running around the edge of the battling platform. From time to time, he would release a stream of Vajra inner strength to attack that middle-aged man. He was mainly responsible for the consumption of this middle-aged man's internal energy. When it was about time, he would have Xie Wufeng take the stage. This would allow him to clearly see this middle-aged man's abilities. "Brat, don't let me catch you or I'll kill you," the middle-aged man in black shouted in anger. He was not as fast as Mu Rongjun. There was no way he could catch up to him. "Hee, we'll talk about it after you catch me." Mu Rongjun smiled mockingly and released a few more balls of inner strength. Just like this, he grinded on the stage for about an hour before jumping off. Xie Wufeng stepped onto the stage, using his single arm as a sword and with a few blows, he caused the middle-aged man's body to be covered with sword scars. When the people of Team 7 saw how Xie Wufeng won so easily, they became even more envious. They had chosen the wrong method, otherwise, they would have definitely passed this round too. The fact that a 7th level martial artist of the Tianzan Martial School lost so quickly was very surprising. At this point, everyone could tell that Xie Wufeng was very strong, as if he had not used all of his power yet. Next, Qin Yun and Huo Zhang only needed to defeat another martial body 7th level martial artist to pass the assessment. Suddenly, many people descended from the mountainside and stood around the battling platform. No one knew why they had suddenly descended. Among them, a man landed on the battling platform. He looked extremely young, around 18 years old. He was handsome, wearing luxurious blue clothes, with a golden crown on his head. His brows were like swords and his eyes were cold and proud. When he looked at Qin Yun, the corner of his mouth curled into a disdainful sneer. When Huo Zhang saw this man, his face immediately filled with anger. He said in a deep voice, "He is Yu Kai from the Tianzan Martial School." Qin Yun knew that Huo Zhang was an honest and straightforward person but he had never known about his background. He had never asked about him. Duan Qian came to Qin Yun's side and said softly, "Yu Kai, who entered the academy at the age of 14, he is now at the peak of the 7th level of the martial body. He possesses the explosive martial spirit, a very special kind of legendary martial spirit. Kai, can you help those people understand what a powerful warrior is?" A blue-robed man said with a faint smile. The color pattern of this blue-robed man's blue robe was actually the same as the few Blue Star Palace elders. It could be seen that his status was very high. The man was standing beside Yang Shiyu, so Qin Yun sized him up very carefully. He was very sure that the blue-robed man was the crown prince of the Tian Shao Empire, Xiao Yanglong. Xiao Yanglong was 30 years old, but he looked to be in his 20s. He wore an extravagant blue robe, a blue crystal crown on his head and 2 tufts of beard. His eyebrows were slightly thick, and his nose was pointed, making him look extremely handsome. Xiao Yanglong also looked at Qin Yun. His eyes were filled with scorn and a faint viciousness, as though he was issuing a warning. Qin Yun met Xiao Yanglong's hostile gaze and turned his head to look at Yu Kai, who was standing on the battling platform. Yu Kai had a legendary martial spirit and was a very strong 7th-level martial body cultivator at such a young age. Now, he was arranged to fight the 4-man team of Qin Yun. Clearly, the Tianzan Martial School was determined to prevent Qin Yun and company from entering. With so many people flying down from the sky, they must have come to watch Yu Kai's match. After all, he was an outstanding young elite. "Old Third Huo, do you have enmity with Yu Kai?" Xie Wufeng asked coldly. "Yes, we can't let him go." Huo Zhang gritted his teeth and said, "We have to win." Xie Wufeng coldly said, "Because the situation is special, our tactics need to change. Second brother Murong and I will go first, then you guys." Murong Daren and Xie Wufeng still had some inner strength left, so they had to use them up against Yu Kai. "Hurry up, time waits for no one," Dean Bai said in a low voice. Mu Rongjun jumped up and just like before, he performed his movement technique as he ran back and forth on the battling platform. However, Yu Kai caught up to Mu Rongdaren before he could get far. Yu Kai's movement technique was even more terrifying. In the blink of an eye, he had already arrived beside Mu Rongdaren. Then, with a light wave of his sleeve, a meter-wide ball of air was formed and blasted towards Mu Rongdaren. Mu Rongdaren didn't have time to dodge and was hit by the ball of air. He was sent flying and crashed into a distant mountain wall. He was severely injured and his body was covered with blood. Guo Cheng sneered, "Yu Kai's movement technique is among the best in the Tianzan Martial School and only Xiao Yulin can compete with him. He actually wants to compete with Yu Kai in movement technique, he's courting death." Xiao Yanglong smiled slightly. In the last Profound Ranked Martial Arts Academy's 7th-level martial artist competition, Akai took first place. He even had the strength to fight with 8th-level martial artists. Qin Yun came to Mu Rong's side and helped him put on his light inscriptions equipment. He consoled him with a few words of consolation. The other students were all secretly surprised at Yu Kai's strength. Not only did he have a handsome appearance, his talent was extremely high as well. To reach the peak of the 7th level of the martial body at the age of 18 meant that there was a high possibility of entering the 8th or even the 9th level under the age of 20. "Young master, don't worry. I will definitely fix Qin Yun properly. He actually dares to tarnish Yu Mei." Yu Kai sneered. "Well, I'll be waiting." Xiao Yanglong indifferently said. Yu Kai, this promising young warrior, actually called him young master. The young students looked at Xiao Yanglong with faces full of worship. Yang Shiyu's expression was frosty. She did not even look at Xiao Yanglong because she knew that Xiao Yanglong hated Qin Yun very much. He would definitely make Yu Kai use all his strength to deal with Qin Yun. Chapter 158 Enmity Between Blood and Sea. Chapter 158 Enmity Between Blood and Sea. Mu Rongjun was severely injured but he quickly stabilized with the light rune set, so he was able to recover quickly. "Boss Xie, you have to be careful." Qin Yun patted Xie Wufeng on the shoulder. Ever since Huo Zhang saw Yu Kai appear, his eyes had turned red and his face was filled with anger, as if he was restraining his anger. Once Xie Wufeng stepped onto the stage, he too started running around the battling platform just like Murong Daren. When Yu Kai saw this move again, he sneered and chased after it. He released a ball of inner chi, and just as he was about to hit Xie Wufeng suddenly sped up. Boss Xie is really fast. Mu Rongjun, who was sitting on the ground, opened his eyes wide and shouted in surprise, "I've never seen his true power." When Yu Kai saw that Xie Wufeng had purposely slowed down to make his attack miss, he felt that he had been taken advantage of. Yu Kai couldn't help but be angered. I've heard that Akai's movement technique is superb, but he still recklessly competed with him in movement technique. How laughable. Xiao Yanglong laughed in disdain. Sure enough, Yu Kai's speed suddenly increased. In a split second, he dashed over 100 meters away towards Xie Wufeng. He struck out with his palm, producing a boom sound. Waves of qi burst out, causing waves of shockwaves that enveloped Xie Wufeng. Yu Kai's explosive inner strength has finally appeared. When he releases his inner strength and uses his explosive martial spirit to explode, he can create a very strong shock wave. Guo Cheng laughed happily. With Yu Kai here, the four of them will not be able to pass the assessment. Xie Wufeng was pushed back by the shockwave, almost falling off the stage. His counterforce was not weak either. Somehow, the shockwave had been repelled back. Yu Kai's hair was disheveled from the shock wave that had ricocheted back. He appeared to be in a sorry state, and he was even forced to take a few steps back. This made him even angrier. He was the strongest person among the profound grade martial academy's 7th level, the martial body. Yet, he was beaten so miserably by a 6th level martial body. He felt that his dignity had been challenged and his body couldn't help but tremble. He then directly used his body to release a wave of inner strength. The inner strength rushed out like a hurricane and continued to explode. Shockwaves rang out continuously and wave after wave crashed into Xie Wufeng's body. Xie Wufeng furrowed his brows. He used his one arm to punch out, blocking the explosion of energy. Although he could block it, the sleeves on his arms were torn apart. The veins on his slender arms bulged and streams of Vajra inner strength gushed out as he continued to resist the waves of qi. Everyone was secretly shocked. The inner strength that Xie Wufeng had released was actually on par with Yu Kai, who was at the 7th level of the martial body realm. Continuing like this for a while, Yu Kai also consumed a lot of his internal energy. The Vajra inner strength at the 7th level martial body was definitely stronger than the one at the 6th level martial body. Even after releasing it, there would still be an explosion. Bang, bang, bang. For some unknown reason, Xie Wufeng's arm suddenly exploded forth with multiple waves of inner strength. The surface of his arm was covered with traces of blood. It was a terrifying sight to behold. "Boss Xie, come down quickly," Qin Yun hurriedly shouted. Xie Wufeng had fought a battle previously and it had already consumed a lot of his inner energy. Now that he could hold on for such a long time, it was already quite good. Boom! Yu Kai released a large amount of inner strength, producing a huge explosion. It shook Xie Wufeng until he vomited blood and flew off the stage. After Xie Wufeng came down, he took a few deep breaths and circulated his inner force to heal his injuries. He did not put on the light pattern equipment like Murong Dazren because he still intended to go back up. Even after being beaten down, as long as they didn't eat medicinal pills or use external energy to heal their wounds, they could still go up. For example, Mu Rongjun had used a light rune equipment to heal his injuries, then been disqualified from the stage. "All go." Huo Zhang gave a low shout and walked up to the battling platform. "Foolish cow, long time no see." When Yu Kai saw Huo Zhang coming up, he burst out laughing. "Yu Kai, you beast!" Huo Zhang roared. Yu Kai continued to laugh heartily as he took out a jade pendant and smiled. "This is the inherited treasure of your Huo family, the jade of the immortal soul. You gave it to your wife, but after your Huo family was annihilated by our Yu family, it fell into my hands." "Haha, stupid cow, you're still thinking of revenge. Don't be silly. Did you forget your wife's words before she died and advise you not to take revenge? Because you are no match for me at all. 5 years ago, I could wipe out your entire family, let alone now. That's right, your wife was so beautiful before she died. You beast, I will kill you." Huo Zhang's face was flushed red. His veins were popping out and his rage could be felt by everyone. With endless grief and anger, he rushed towards Yu Kai, as if he would destroy Yu Kai no matter what. Yu Kai exterminated a person's entire family yet still spoke in such a calm manner. This kind of murderous demon caused many people to furrow their brows. Qin Yun stood below the battling platform and looked at the furious Huo Zhang. His heart was filled with rage and hatred. His expression gradually turned grim and he looked extremely gloomy. Old Huo, he clenched his fists. Huo Zhang's strength was terrifying but his speed was slightly slow. He was simply not a match for Yu Kai. Yu Kai was on the battling platform, laughing loudly while dodging Huo Zhang's rampaging charge. Third brother Huo's family was an aristocratic family in a small country. After that, there was chaos in the small country and many aristocratic families started fighting. The weak Huo family did not want to be implicated, so they remained neutral. But because they have the jade of the immortal souls, they were targeted by the Yu clan, and thus, Sai. After that, this small country was accepted by the Tian Shao Empire. That's why Yu Kai followed Xiao Yanglong. Xiao Yanglong laughed. "Ah Kai, the reason you borrowed this jade from me was to enrage this person. Interesting. If you've had enough, then just kill him." When Qin Yun heard this, he wished that he could tear Xiao Yanglong's mouth apart. At this moment, he could tell what kind of person Xiao Yanglong was. Yu Kai struck Huo Zhang's back with his palm. After knocking him down to the ground, he said with a mocking smile, "Idiot cow, on the battling platform, you can announce that you have given up on this assessment. This way, your team will lose as well. Otherwise, I will kill you." Huo Zhang was sprawled on the ground. He had been stepped on by Yu Kai on his back, making it impossible for him to get off the stage. Old Huo, admit defeat. When Xie Wufeng heard this, his expression changed drastically. Whether or not he could enter the Star Zanwu Academy was no longer important. What was important was whether Huo Zhang could survive. From the looks of the current situation, Huo Zhang simply could not step down from the stage by himself. If he continued to stay up there was only death waiting for him. Huo Zhang was still leaning all over as he angrily said, "I won't admit defeat even if I die." Old Huo, quickly give up. We're not going to enter the Star Zanwu Academy. Qin Yun shouted as well, "As long as you are alive." Just as he and Xie Wufeng were about to charge over, they were stopped by Guo Cheng and a few elders from the Tian Zan Martial School. "Haha, it's too late now." Yu Kai laughed, raised his leg and stomped down heavily. Chapter 159 Explosive Power. Chapter 159 Explosive Power. Huo Zhang's waist was stepped on and his waist bones were broken. He let out a thunderous roar in pain. "Qin Yun, don't go up. This will break the rules." Xiao Yanglong was very, very happy. "Dean Bai, we forfeit." Xie Wufeng coldly said, "Announce our defeat." "You are not allowed to. Only those on the battling platform can forfeit." Xiao Yanglong laughed, "My family's Akai is having such a good time, how can you all disturb him?" Qin Yun clenched his fist and said angrily, "Guo Cheng, Xiao Yanglong, you will definitely die in my hands. Just you wait." His every word was like a knife as his voice was ice cold, bone-piercing and filled with incomparable hatred. "Haha, I'll be waiting." Xiao Yang laughed loudly, as if he heard the funniest joke. Guo Cheng also laughed out loud, "You want to kill us? What big words. That's ridiculous." Qin Yun closed his eyes and concentrated. He released all the mental force that had transformed into a star in his mind and used divine imperial art to envelop Huo Zhang's body. "Stupid cow, I will trample you to death." Yu Kai laughed happily as he raised his leg once again. However, his foot missed. Because at this moment heavily injured Huo Zhang suddenly glided across the ground. In just a few blinks of an eye, he had already landed on the battling platform. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked. Yang Xiyu looked at Qin Yun and saw that he was sweating profusely with a pale face. Nearly everyone looked at Qin Yun. When they saw his appearance, they knew that he had used a terrifying mental energy to lift Huo Zhang's body up before quickly moving him down the stage. Such a powerful psychic power was truly terrifying. "Qin Yun, you." Just as Guo Cheng was about to flip out, Hu Xingfeng came over and said, "Qin Yun, even if you fail the assessment, I can still let you and Xie Wufeng enter the Star Zanwu Academy. However, Mu Rong Daren and Huo Zhang can't. Zhou Chuan came over and said, Qin Yun, you do not need to go up to enter the Star Zhongwu Academy. If you were to compete with Yu Kai in terms of martial arts and were unable to pass the examination, the Star Zhongwu Academy would not accept you. Hu Xingfeng nodded his head, hurry up and make your decision. Yang Shiyu walked over and advised softly, Qin Yun, Yu Kai's methods are very brutal. He can detonate his inner energy. You must make a careful decision. Quote. Huo Zhang looked at Qin Yun and said in a low voice, Brother Yun, it's enough that you and eldest brother Xie can enter the Star Zhongwu Academy. You don't need to care about me and second brother Murong. Mu Rong Jun smiled and said, don't waste your future because of us two trash. Give up. Qin Yun, give up. You are not Yu Kai's match. Duan Qian also advised, if your inner Yuan is exploded by him, then you're really done for. Kid, just listen to my advice. Dean Zhang also said. Qin Yun looked at Xie Wufeng. Xie Wufeng smiled faintly, if you want to go up, then you must win. Everyone was slightly taken aback. They advised Qin Yun not to go up, however, his boss Xie was actually encouraging him to go up. Qin Yun nodded before leaping onto the stage. He actually went up. Everyone was emotionally moved. So many experts were advising him, yet he actually did not listen. He still wanted to go up because this would ruin his future. Yang Shiyu slightly frowned, sighed, and could only watch from below. Brother Yun. Huo Zhang clenched his fist. He knew that Qin Yun had gone up to avenge him. Ever since Qin Yun's spirit vein was destroyed, people often ridiculed him for being a trash with one spirit vein. In the end, because he was enemies with the Empress, no one was willing to befriend him. They kept away from him. However, when he came to the Three Zon Academy, he met Xie Wufeng, Huo Zhang, and Mu Rong Daren. The three of them treated him very well. From the very beginning, they had never disdained him for his single spiritual vein. It was a true friend that was worth making. Therefore, no matter what, he had to use all of his power to fight Yu Kai. I just hoped you would come up. You really did come up. You and that stupid cow stayed together for a long time, so you became stupid too, didn't you? Yu Kai laughed loudly before charging forward. He unleashed a transparent hidden strength that went at Qin Yun's abdomen. Qin Yun was immediately on guard. Stepping into fire cloud steps, he instantly ran dozens of meters away, avoiding the hidden attack. That mass of hidden strength was the mysterious explosive force that could detonate his inner Yuan. He actually dodged it. Yu Kai was slightly shocked as he attacked once again. And this time, Qin Yun had executed his Qi explosion technique in the distance. Along with his tsunami technique, he produced 3 shockwaves as he charged towards Yu Kai. When the internal force wave passed through, it suddenly exploded. Bang, bang, bang. Yu Kai was forced to retreat. The gorgeous blue clothes on his body had also been shaken until it cracked. This kind of inner strength that would explode if struck was what Yu Kai was best at. Yet, Qin Yun was able to unleash it. Its Qi explosion technique and tsunami skill, 2 kinds of Zon-level martial arts. Zhou Chuan exclaimed, his martial talent is truly terrifying. He can actually execute 2 Zon-level martial arts at the same time. Isn't he afraid that his Qi will go berserk and be devoured by the internal energy? When everyone heard this, they were all shocked. Even if advanced level martial arts were to be combined, it would still be very dangerous, much less 2 Zon-level martial arts. However, Qin Yun had casually used it. Xie Wufeng looked at the hourglass. There wasn't much time left. Only in close combat could he defeat Yu Kai. However, once he got closer, it would be extremely dangerous. Qin Yun looked at the hourglass and gritted his teeth. A fiery blaze burst beneath his feet as he instantly charged towards Yu Kai. In an instant, the speed of his movement technique was close to Yu Kai's. Yang Shiyu's beautiful eyes flickered strangely. She never expected Qin Yun to have made such great progress after she left the Wu Academy. When Yu Kai saw Qin Yun charging over, he sneered in his heart as he hurriedly revolved his explosive force. Roar. When Qin Yun came over, he gave a loud roar. He had used the heavenly lion's roar. A horrifying lion's roar reverberated throughout the entire valley, shocking Yu Kai into a daze. Kai, be careful. Xiao Yonglong shouted in alarm. In the instant that Yu Kai fell into a daze, Qin Yun released the Heaven Lion Fighting Dragon Claw. Then, he executed the six-style wind-slaying technique and swung out his golden lion claw. Yu Kai came back to his senses and hastily avoided the frightening ability. He was very clear in his heart that if he was hit by the lion claw, he would definitely be heavily injured. Even though he dodged, his upper body was still struck, leaving behind 3 deep bloody marks. Seeing this scene, everyone was dumbfounded. Yu Kai was thought to not be injured, but his upper body was almost cut into 3 pieces. One could see that deep inside the wound, there were many faint golden threads. They were the Vajra meridian. If it were not for the connection between these meridians, a large amount of blood would have gushed out. "Explode for me," Yu Kai shouted in anger, then unleashed a huge mass of explosive power. Chapter 160 Sword Cultivators. When Qin Yun saw the explosive force approaching, he hurriedly controlled the dual inner yuans in his dantian and channeled it into his left arm. His left arm was the arm of a heavenly lion. It was extremely powerful and was enough to accommodate 2 of his inner yuan. After he had completed the transportation, he also felt an excruciating pain in his abdomen. There was actually a burst of blood mist. At this moment, he also used his left arm to hack towards Yu Kai the 6-style wind-slaying technique, river-breaking slash. Yu Kai was shocked and quickly dodged. However, his left arm and left shoulder were still injured. His shoulder and his entire arm had been chopped into several pieces. At the moment the blood mist erupted from Qin Yun's abdomen, everyone was stunned. Yang Shiyu bit her lower lip, her face full of pain. Hu Xingfeng, Zhou Chuan, Ding Zhong, Ding Bai and the others all wore faces full of regret as they shook their heads and sighed. The thing they didn't want to see the most had finally happened. Although Master Wei and the rest wanted to cheer, they only saw that Yu Kai was also severely injured. Because of Xiao Yanglong's expression, they did not say anything but only secretly rejoiced in their hearts. Qin Yun was lying on his back on the battling platform. His injuries were indeed severe. His abdomen had exploded as his internal organs had been severely injured. Yu Kai's arm and shoulder were sliced off and there were a few deep cuts on his upper body that had not been healed yet. "Brother Yun, come down quickly," Xie Wufeng quickly shouted. Qin Yun was unable to move but his mental power was very strong. He released his mental power at full swing, allowing his body to slide down the stage. Xie Wufeng hurriedly helped him put on his light pattern equipment. Yang Shiyu also came over and channeled her inner force into Qin Yun's body. She combed through his disordered internal organs. She faintly sighed and said, "Why do you have to go through all this trouble? He doesn't have any inner yuan or martial spirit anymore." Sigh. Zhou Chuan came over and gave a long sigh. "Dantian has been detonated, everything inside is gone." Hu Xingfeng's expression was grim as he sighed in regret. "Dean Hu, although Qin Yun has encountered such a situation, if we've passed the examination, he can also enter the Star Zhan Wu Academy, right?" Xie Wufeng asked. "That's right. However, there are also periodic examinations in the Star Zhan Wu Academy. After he enters, if he is unable to pass, he will be told to leave the Star Zhan Wu Academy." Hu Xingfeng nodded. Xie Wufeng looked at Qin Yun and said, "I'll head up now and end this assessment. Rest assured, no matter what, you are still our good brother. Brother Yun, don't worry. Boss Xie will definitely win." Murong Danren smiled and shook Qin Yun's hand vigorously. "Brother Yun, even if I, Huo Zhang, die, I will never let you be bullied." When Qin Yun heard these words, he could not help but cry. He nodded at them. This time, everyone believed him to be crippled, but unlike last time, when he lost his 4 spiritual veins, he was not alienated by everyone. Xie Wufeng walked up the stage. Looking at Yu Kai with his severed arm, he said coldly, "Do you still want to continue?" Xiao Yanglong's expression was incomparably cold and grim as he yelled, "Ah Kai, blow away his inner yuan. Even though you have a broken arm, your internal force is very strong. He is just like you, one-armed. Furthermore, he was injured and lost a lot of strength, so he is definitely not your match." Quote, Yu Kai's arms long been broken into a few pieces. He took the pieces and kept them down the battling platform because he could still reconnect with it. Xie Wufeng, Right, I won't kill you but I will make you become a cripple like Qin Yun. Yu Kai laughed sinisterly. He had been turned into a mess and was also full of anger. Yang Shiyu channeled inner energy to Qin Yun and said softly, I am very happy for you to have such a good friend. Can this boss Xie, really win? Quote. Qin Yun said with a smile, definitely win. He knew that Xie Wufeng definitely had other tricks up his sleeve. Therefore, when he went up on stage, he did not think of defeating Yu Kai. Because they were in a group battle and needed to rely on each other. Qin Yun looked at Xie Wufeng on the dueling platform. Although he had lost an arm, his aura was extremely terrifying. Everyone was watching the stage. Even in the eyes of a martial arts practitioner, this martial arts competition had shocked them. Go and become a cripple. Yu Kai laughed sinisterly and charged forward. Xie Wufeng's expression was calm as a white light appeared in his palm. Following that, a sharp sword chi gushed out. Boom! Xie Wufeng's white robes trembled, his body instantly exploded out with an extremely violent shockwave that spread in all directions. This was actually an incomparably terrifying sword force. The people below the stage were all blown away by the explosive force of the sword, causing their hair and clothes to dance wildly. The monstrous sword force caused the clouds and winds to surge and thunder to flash in the sky. After Yu Kai rushed over, he was also shocked by the sword force and was about to attack when he saw the white light in Xie Wufeng's hand turn into a white sword. The white sword was as exquisite as if it was carved from white jade. Xie Wufeng waved his sword and the sword shadows covered the sky, enveloping Yu Kai. Swish! Countless sword shadows swept across. Yu Kai suddenly turned into many small pieces, then turned into white mist that rose up and disappeared into air. Yu Kai had died just like that. Even a martial arts expert was dumbstruck by this. And the sword in Xie Wufeng's hand shocked them the most. You actually used your weapon to kill Akai, I will kill you. Xiao Yanglong was furious. Just as he charged up, he was repelled by a shockwave from Hu Xingfeng. Hu Xingfeng had already arrived at the battling platform, supporting the pale-faced Xie Wufeng. He sneered at Xiao Yanglong. Look carefully, that's not a weapon. Not a weapon? What is that? Xiao Yanglong said angrily, his expression extremely gloomy, his eyes filled with killing intent. Sword of Destiny. Zhou Chuan also walked up. He's a sword cultivator, that was the life sword he created from his cultivation. Swordsman. Many people had never heard of this before and were discussing this matter. Qin Yun asked, Teacher, what is a sword cultivator? Yang Shiyu's face was also full of shock and she said in a low voice, it's a very scary existence. It is said that it is difficult to find such a terrifying sword cultivator in the martial desolate land. Because the sword cultivators were too powerful, they were punished by the heavens and died a long time ago. After a moment of shock, Dean Bai announced in a loud voice, the 10th team has passed the examination. The corner of Xiao Yanglong's eyes twitched. He looked at Xie Wufeng furiously, clenching his fists so hard that they made clattering sounds. He did not expect that a sword cultivator would actually appear, otherwise, he would definitely not let Yu Kai continue. Naturally, he knew about swordsmanship as well. He knew that Xie Wufeng was not using a weapon but a sword formed from inner yuan. Yang Shiyu said in surprise, rumor has it that a sword cultivator's destiny sword, even the worst, is like a royal-grade spirit weapon. Some were even stronger than them and could reach the level of Zon artifacts. Although swordsmen were terrifying enough to be punished by the heavens, swordsmen all had this as their goal. However, becoming a true sword cultivator is extremely difficult. Quote, Qin Yun looked at Xie Wufeng and was very happy to have such a powerful friend. He now understood why Xie Wufeng did not use any other weapon. It was because his inner yuan sword was extremely powerful. As a sword cultivator, he would definitely not use any other weapon.